welcome back to the Giant Beastcast. I'm Vinny Caravella, and we are here with the best podcasting crew in the universe. Starting with me. Next up is Alex Navarro.
No follow-up. Nothing to add there. Just, nope, I'm the best.
That's all you need.
And here's Alex Navarro.
That's all you need. Is me, and then Alex Navarro. How are you, Alex?
Yeah, fair enough. I'm getting by. I got a new Xbox. That's fun.
Look at you. Wow. Abby Russell.
Hello! My PlayStation's coming in tomorrow.
Wow, tomorrow.
Nice.
That is so soon.
I'm excited. You're here now.
Jeff Bacalar.
Hey, glad all you people can catch up.
Wow.
I went there.
Wow.
I had been flexing, and now I'm going to flex.
What do you?
All of us get free microphones we can break day one. A bunch of consoles we can say are too hot for our little tendy fingies. I'm the third thing that would be funny if I could think of it. Pinball machines.
I just wanted to take a second just to give the fine people at Blue Microphones a shout out for hooking us up here.
I'm sorry. What? Hook what?
Hook it up. What do you mean?
Who got on the hook?
Come again?
Sorry, who's on the hook?
Me.
Yeah, you're on the hook for sure. Yeah, you're on the hook.
Oh, you're saying they could have spread the hook wealth.
I'm saying there's more. We all talk in the microphones here. I'm not asking. Hey, Blue, I'm not asking for shit.
Well, you had a working microphone.
But I wouldn't have broken it. I wouldn't have broken it either.
Yeah, I did break that last microphone. It's on its way back somewhere. I'm sure to get repaired, but or recirculated. But anyway, thanks to those guys. They've been super helpful. So thank you. And it's console week. Everybody, get excited. Let's do it.
You know what I will say though? You know what I will say? I think
what?
This is unsolicited because again, I wasn't sent anything. But Blue makes a hell of a product. They do make
It's true. I love it.
I'm impressed.
They do.
I'm very impressed with the quality right away.
I've had this mic
for
I've had this for literal years, and it has not messed up on me once. It has always served me well.
Yes, professional quality at an affordable consumer price.
Yeah, and
Abby's got it.
And if Blue wanted to, see how some of their other microphones, like the baby bottle of the Bluebird, test out fare here, listen, we can make that happen.
We can make that happen.
Well, if you're listening, my address is. Just kidding.
I'm just saying, Blue. You have a $2,000 microphone listed on your page. Maybe it's time.
You don't hear about them.
Maybe it's
that
time.
Much.
Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time podcasters got into that. But how are they going to know? How are the people going to know if that $2,000 Kiwi microphone? Great name, by the way. What is
that? The handmade one?
Yeah, that's.
I like the World of Warcraft microphone. Wow, check that thing out.
The bottle, the $4,000 microphone.
It's a $200. Is there with World of Warcraft. Pro. Oh, wow! Look at these.
Look at these.
Where's the $2,000 one?
It's in the XLR section.
Later.
All right.
Podcast?
Yeah, let's get to it. What do you guys think, huh?
About the podcast? Well, it's starting a little late, but other than that, we're here.
I love this podcast. Folks, you're listening to the Giant Beastcast. We're going to get started. I'm going to dial in a little of these levels here. Make sure this is good. Getting loud and salty today. That's what I say. Loud and salty. Let me hear you again, Alex.
Hear me talk before I drink this water.
There we go. I like that better.
Look at that little tumbler, Alex. What is that? Where's that little guy?
Cup. It's just a little metal cup.
It's so cute.
I keep it in my fridge. Makes the drinks cold.
Oh, that's cool.
You think he's cold?
No, not too bad. I mean, I don't put it in the freezer, just the fridge.
Folks,
Abby, can you drink that with one hand? Abby's got a thermos the size of
boy.
gas tank.
Oh boy.
This is full. Oh God.
That thing is the size of my leg.
It's almost like somebody photoshopped that into your feed there.
Look, I wanted to make sure I was getting enough water per day. The water at this office, suspicious, questionable.
Yeah.
So I got a jug that's larger than my face. It is a huge jug.
Legitimately is.
That's almost as big as the PS5.
Yeah. But you know what?
What?
I did all this easily, and it's 64 ounces, only like 10 more ounces, and I got my fill for the day.
It looks like something that you'd it looks like something you'd need to go get 3 of and then plug into a slot to get the ship back up and running in space. Like go find the power core. Yeah. Okay. We've got a show to do today. It is Thursday, November 12th, which means Friday the 13th coming up right on top of this one. So just a fair heads up from all of us here to you. It is Friday the 13th tomorrow. That's a day.
Watch out.
Watch
out, monsters.
Yeah, something bad might happen this year.
Yeah, watch out. Something ruin the perfect run. This is episode 286. We're here and we have video games to talk about. Before we get to that, I'd love to talk a little bit about the attire that I'm wearing today. I was speaking of being sent free things. I was sent this tracksuit that I'm wearing today. And if you're watching the video feed, you can get a look at this here. Look at me showing it off. I'll move my microphone out of the way for a second. Yeah, there it is. And it's comfy. I've never worn a tracksuit before, so I don't know if I'm doing it correctly. It does feel nice on me. And these will, yes, Bacalar has a question.
How do I get one of those?
Well, good question, Bacalar. You can go into the Giant Bomb store. They will be for sale, and I believe it'll be 20% off everything coming up soon here. Coming up soon.
Yes.
That sounds like a sale.
I think it is called a sale.
Give it away.
I'm gonna call some BS here.
Okay.
I'm gonna call some bullshit.
Okay, start with the BS.
I refuse to believe you have never worn a tracksuit before in your life.
That's garbage. I grew up before the tracksuits were really a thing. So
what does that even mean?
It means like I would say they kind of became a thing in like the 90s, and in the 90s, late 90s. If you're saying like, oh, tracksuits were maybe like the 70s, but they were kind of a thing. But like I was in the 90s, I was kind of grunge, so I was not tracksuit. So that's a very different style. I was definitely more flannels and baggy shorts and stuff like that. So tracksuit didn't really fit into my repertoire, if you will.
Yeah, I'm still gonna call bullshit on that because I was every bit the shitty punk dirtbag that you were growing up, and even I have tasted the joys of a tracksuit at least once or twice in my life. So I think this is how we are. And like, I'm not even Italian, so like I don't, I have even less reason not to have tried a tracksuit in my life. But I'm just saying, I think this is how we find out that Vinny's not actually Italian.
Now I associate tracksuits with different mafias and mostly Eastern European mafias, like a tracksuit.
Oh, it's a widespread among many organized crime organizations, including the Italians.
That's right. So yeah, this is my first taste. I think I'm not wearing the tracksuit pants, and I'm not going to show that off today. But
does it come with pants? Can you get pants?
Yeah, it's a suit. It's a tracksuit. If one were to run track, you can't do it without pants.
Does it have like little bombs down the sides?
I don't think it
like
does.
Where the Kappa logo would go?
I don't think it does actually. But I don't know.
That'd be dope.
The pants I'm not wearing, but this top I am. And again, store.giantbomb.com might get you somewhere. If not, go into the Giant Bomb store and you can go check that out. I believe there's also a premium sale coming up, our second one of the year. So if you missed out on the first one and want to get in on that, you can check that out coming up.
Oh, and also people always ask me where I've got this old lid. No, I'm pointing to the lid of the cap.
Okay.
And I believe that is back on the site as well. So go get yourself a Giant Bomb logo hat.
Or are these on the site? I don't know what they call. They call these the dad hats. I don't know why they call them the dad hats.
Because they're a dad hat. That's the thing. That's what everyone calls them now.
It's a dad hat.
I don't know.
Just, it's like a hat your dad would wear.
Like an old baseball cap.
This checks out.
That's the kind of hat I like. It's just not.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have like a flat brim.
Let's be clear. The dad connotation is not a negative one. It's just sort of like what they're called.
Okay.
I guess like it's not like where like mom jeans are like a bad thing that people say.
I don't think they use that as a positive thing.
They don't.
No,
I feel like mom jeans are bad. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, dad jeans are also bad.
Yeah. What are regular jeans?
They're just
neutral.
There.
Jeans. So there, I played some video games. I started playing a Crash Bandicoot, the newest Crash Bandicoot. Gosh, what is that
biggest
one?
New game.
Is it 4?
4.
Is it Crash Bandicoot 4? Came out a while ago. I think the story as this goes, I think Jan was going to check it out, and then suddenly Jan had to vanish into a black hole called tearing down the studio, which someday he will return from. We get updates once in a while. It sounds like he's doing yeoman's work there, so thank you very much, Jan. But leaves little time for Crash Bandicoot. So I decided to check it out, pick it up. I am not a huge fan of the Crash Bandicoot oeuvre or the series, but I have
the Bandicoovra.
Beware the Bandicoovra and the Snickety Snatch. Is Snickety Snatches? What's that?
Anyway,
there are a few people I don't trust in life, and one of the groups of people I don't trust are people who have memorized that whole Through the Looking Glass, the band, what is it, the Bandersnatch?
The Bandersnatch?
Yeah.
Yes, I know that. Wait, I've memorized that whole poem.
This all checks out.
Well, listen, I only know it because it's one of my son's favorite books growing up, where it's the whole Alice in Wonderland.
That's what it is.
Well, now I don't trust your son either.
Beware the
thing
Jabberwock.
they say in Harriet the Spy.
You're asking the wrong fucking guy. I don't know.
Where it's like, oh gosh.
The claws that
Rosie
catch.
O'Donnell.
Yeah.
She says it with what's her face.
Sure.
They go back and forth. I only know it because of their little back and forth, but now I've completely forgotten it apparently.
That's
like,
right. You've got it.
What something Walrus said many things. I know the cadence of it.
Yeah, that's different. Is it different? I don't know. That's my wife is also obsessed with Alice in Wonderland. So
really?
I'm losing from every side of the conversation here.
So Crash Bandicoot is a platform.
Cabbages and Kings. I'm just coming back.
Yes.
Coming back.
3D platformer, and it's pretty hard. This one, I'm gonna say. I don't. Again, not being super familiar with the series, I don't know how difficult they get. Lots to collect. I know that. But it's been enjoyable. The checkpointing is okay throughout a level, but not super great. To the point where there are definitely some frustrating bits where you'll sneak up on something, and because you're trying to move, it moves pretty quickly, and you'll just hit an exploding box, and then you're done and got to go back to a checkpoint, which wasn't that far away ago, but maybe it was a difficult section. Yeah, back.
So I feel like I've heard a lot of stuff about how is there something weird about how like the running around in that game where like it's just a little different feeling.
That's
right.
That's a good question for somebody who's more familiar with the previous ones. I don't know because I'm not that familiar with them. I think, like, is it floaty or slippery? I can't tell if it's different than other ones. There are a bunch of like, seems like at least I think I'm up to level 4, World 4. They introduced new mechanics on each one, and one of them is a mechanic where you phase. By pushing a trigger, phase things in and out of reality. So you wind up having to jump on something, jump off of it, phase another thing into reality, phase something. It's like very some complex sequences there that can be a lot sometimes. And you have a preloaded jump by holding crouch. So sometimes you're preloading a jump, bringing stuff into reality, bringing stuff out. I'm enjoying it again. I think it's a little challenging. I don't think like my kids would enjoy it. I think it's that level of frustration.
Understood.
But we'll have more on that. I got to play some more and get into it a little bit more. I'm going to try and record with Jan, who I think is a little more familiar with the series. So maybe he could speak more to it. What else? Teardown. We have an unfinished for that currently up on the site. You can watch me ace it. With the assistance of Avery Russell. We go through a bunch of levels there, and it's fun. I'm enjoying that game. I don't know how much more I'm going to play, if I'll see it to the end of the early access phase or not. I might just wait until it's finished, but yeah, you can go check that out.
Do you know how this early access is working? Is it a thing where they just have like, here are a certain number of levels and like this is sort of where you have in the story, or is it like, hey, it's pretty much the full story, but we're going to change some features around? Do you know?
I looked at their statement on Steam, and I think they're going to try and add some more on the custom side at the very least. I think more on the narrative. There are not that many worlds, but they reuse the environments to pretty great effect. I mean, the objectives are different in them. But I, in terms of really the scope of it, how much is this done? I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you that.
Okay,
but
curious.
Yeah, it's fun. I want to see more tools. I would like to see more in the way it goes. Some things that I would say criticisms for the early access part. I think Abby, you had this kind of same reaction. There are like alarm systems, and you'd think cutting the power to the alarms should work in solving some of these puzzles. In the game. For those who don't know, it's a game about destroying your environment to make a clean getaway in 60 seconds after you do a crime. And you'd think like, oh, I'll buy more time by destroying the power and not setting the alarms off, but that doesn't work, and that seems like it should.
Yeah, I feel like the game, so much of it is like one of those games that's like, hey, you solve this puzzle in your own way, you solve this problem in your own way, like you'll figure it out in time. Like you don't necessarily need to do it like the same route every time.
Yeah.
So I was looking for like, because they do set you up in the beginning, it's like you have all the time in the world, you can like explore, you can find other valuables, you can like plan things out pretty much indefinitely, and it's like pretty relaxed. And then like the second the alarm goes off, you have 60 seconds, you got to get out of there. And I figured, I kept sort of hitting my head against like, okay, well maybe if I like, destroy the power plant and there's no power in the building, or I like destroy all these other boxes, or you try to like break down the wall around where the alarm box was to sort of like make sure the alarm didn't go off. Because I know for me, like having the alarm go off felt like a failure, but then we realized, I think like, oh, you have to set off the alarm. This is the game. Is like you set off the alarm and you have to figure out a path 60 seconds out to get out of there, which just I find personally feels a little incongruous, I guess is the word, with like the beginning of the game of like the setup.
So I think and I said this in the unfinished, as you continue playing the game and move forward in it, you get more tools that make these objectives seem more reasonable, but it's still a lot of setup for a 60-second solution. And I think that is what the game, and I've come to realize that is what the game is, which might be at odds, I think, Abby, with what you and I wanted initially from it, which is like stealth your way through and solve the puzzle and do it. But either way, I think it's impressive in what it's doing, and I think it's
I think it's super fun. And I think once I figured that out and kind of changed my mind of like what the game was, I was enjoying it more. Yeah. I know for me, I think some of the aesthetics get in the way of like the gameplay. Like I like the sort of like tilt shifty kind of like
super depth of field.
Yeah, like nice looking Minecraft, but also it made me like a little nauseous at first. I had to like adjust field of view stuff because it was just like immediately making me queasy. And then also it'll do things where like you will pick up like these explosives or pick up any object and it will blur literally everything else around you except for this object you're holding right in your face. It's like, well, I have to go walk across the map to like throw it at a wall. Like it's stuff like that that's like very stylized in a way that I think gets in this way. And even like when you go and look at like the map of the world, I wish it just snapped to it and didn't do this like stylized like flip around. You know, I think for me, I don't know. It's in the way of the gameplay a little bit. I
think you're right, especially the depth of field stuff. Some of that stuff you can adjust in the settings, field of view, head bob, and maybe that'll come as they go down this path of development as well. Still early access. I played it over on Steam if you were checking that out. Bugsnax. Hey, Bugsnax. Is that out today? I think that might be out today.
Bunger, 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 bunger,
bunger, bunger, bunger, bunger.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's what we do in my house, 24/7. Every night, every moment of my waking life is covered with that.
And you haven't even played Bugsnax yet. Oh, stop it. I think we can talk about Bugsnax now. I think we could talk about Bugsnax as of earlier this week. I finished the Bugsnax. There is a quick look up on the site. I think, Abby, you have played some of the snacks. Jeff, you have played some of the snacks. Alex, have you played the Bugsnax?
I think I'm just about the ending.
Alex, have you played any Bugsnax yet?
I have not played any Bugsnax yet.
So Bugsnax is a game in which you find yourself on an island full of bug snacks, which are these little critters that are part bug, part snack food, let's say, part food.
Sure.
The story opens up with an expedition to this island that has kind of gone off the rails, and you're trying to look for the expedition leader. And in doing so, you can trap and collect the Bugsnax, and then you can feed them to the remaining expedition members. And in doing so, it turns out the snacks will change parts of their body to represent those snacks. So say you had something called a frieder, which would be a part spider, part French fry, and you fed it to one of the members, their arm might become a French fry. So,
and it doesn't hurt them, though. It doesn't seem to hurt them.
They're into it. The Bugsnax, I don't know, maybe kind of chill about it. They sort of don't seem to want to be captured. There's one dude on the island who seems to be like a Bugsnax vegetarian. Like, I don't ever want to eat the Bugsnax. So the morals of it, maybe a little weird, but I like it.
And then there's one dude who's just like, they're not really alive.
There are a lot of personalities on the island. I think there's I want to say like 10-ish up and around 10 distinct members of this expedition that you kind of go and try to bring back to the main encampment. That's really your kind of mechanism for solving this mystery. And in doing so, that is the game. The capturing of the bugs and that mechanic, I think, is okay to middling. Like I think that stuff is not that engaging, but doing the quests and interacting with the people, and it's kind of you're doing these loyalty missions sometimes, it feels like, for these members of this expedition. That is where the game is. And all of these characters have baggage, and they have come to this island for different reasons. And a lot of them are some of them are fairly serious, some of them are just silly, but they all have reasons they are here in ways that are, while this has a kind of a kid aesthetic to it, if you dig in long enough, that kind of washes away a little bit into kind of a more serious aesthetic, keeping it mostly lighthearted, but be prepared for things to turn a little bit at some point, to the point where I was like, should we keep going down this route with the kids?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I'll say that.
I don't have kids, so I never know, like, oh, is this a thing that'll just go over their heads? Because I feel like I'm just about done. I think I'm in a spot where, like, solving a final puzzle, it feels like, and then I'm like gonna go to a next stage that feels like the end of the game. But I've gotten to a part that have like some adult like implications, just in the sense of like, oh, is there like real adult problems? But the whole thing feels so much like a Story Pirates thing to me. Like all the characters do, like they feel like big, broad characters, in a family friendly way, not in a bad way. And I find the gameplay so simplistic isn't the right word, but it's not like super challenging. No. If anything, it's like maybe a little tedious after a certain point.
No, I think you're absolutely right. That is a fair criticism. I think, Abby, if you're up to near the point of no return where they're like, hey, this is about to wrap up, see it through.
Okay, so maybe I haven't gotten to the like.
So without saying a word, I will say that I have heard from multiple sources who I trust that the ending of that game is wild.
See it through. Also, apparently, some variation in the ending. Ben and I have both finished it, and we talked about it. So,
okay.
What would you say your total playtime was there, Vinny?
Caravella, you can call me that. It is, I would say it's probably around maybe 6 or 7 hours. I caught every bug. I did every side quest.
Oh, wow.
I think I 100%ed that game.
So it's in the range of like Octodad.
Yeah.
Octodad, I think, was like slightly shorter.
I feel like my time has been a little longer with it. Maybe I'm just being slow.
I feel like go ahead.
Mine could be longer, Abby. I'm not exactly sure. I could try and look up my time played.
I'm enjoying it. It's a fun game for me to go into and like shut my brain off. And Vinny, we talked about this a bit because we were both playing around like the election stuff coming in, and it was like a nice thing where I would feel like it was repetitive enough and nice enough where like I would talk to someone and get a mission and then like be like, okay, I'm gonna go do this, and on the way I'd pick up like a side mission or two and then like do that and do that and do that. And it was always like, well, I'll just do this one more thing. Well, I'll just do this one more thing. Well, I'll just do this one more thing until I like eventually logged off of it.
Yeah.
So I think that aspect of it is nice. I will say getting towards the end, catching some of the Bugsnax, because there is like a little bit of a puzzle to it where you have all these tools to catch them. And sometimes, especially as you go on, like they might freeze you if you try to catch them, or like they'll knock you away and you have to like figure out the way to do it. And I don't find it like a fun puzzle a lot of the time. I find it a little bit like
tedious.
What am I just missing? Yeah, and then like tedious, especially when it's like, well, I know what to do, and it's just like the pain in the ass of finding the loop of this thing, and like just fucking let me catch you, you know? And like I don't think the catching is what I find interesting in the game either. I think it's the story and the characters. So I think when it's like I'm just like stuck catching some like flying ice cream sandwich, it's like, dude, just let me catch you, you know?
The controls are finicky enough to the point where once you've done this for the 800th time, you're just like, just lock on, or just the.
Yes. I think also what I get a little bit annoyed with too is like, you know, I will, because you'll go into these like there are different worlds basically where it's like here's like one neighborhood, then you go into a loading screen for like the next one, and it's like one is like a desert, one's like a beach, one's like a snowy mountain, and they have different Bugsnax per area. So usually when I go to an area, I'm like, oh cool, new Bugsnax, and I like catch one or I catch two, and I like catch a bunch, and then my pockets get all full. Then I have to like let some go or like figure out a way to get rid of them. Then I talk to someone and they're like, I wish I had 2 of those Bugsnax. I'm like, I just gave one away.
So there's a mechanic in it that opens up pretty early. I'm trying not to talk too much about spoilers because I think the narrative is the main thrust of this game. But there is I think Abby, you mentioned there's somebody who has a relationship with Bugsnax that is like, I just want to raise him, and his name's Grapple, something like that.
I don't remember any of his names. There's like Wiggle.
Yeah, Wiggle. I think grapple. I just keep saying grapple, and that sounds wrong.
Right. I feel like.
Anyway, you can donate Bugsnax to his home for retired Bugsnax, and that'll get your inventory spaces larger until a point. But I wish you can pull them back out of there for that same reason that Abby said.
I thought that's what that was going to be. Yeah, I thought that's what that was going to be.
And also, they go in there and they don't permanently display in there. So they kind of, which is also, I think, maybe, you know, I'm not here to do armchair development, but like I was donating because I reached some point you max out the inventory slots and you can still donate if you want. And I was like, cool, I want one of every Bugsnax in there. But then they don't all display. They kind of just randomly or override each other. So there are definitely quibbles with it. And I think there are a lot of things that keep it from being amazing to being like, this is fun. And I think it is fun.
For me. So I have found a lot of enjoyment out of playing. You know, it's in my opinion, it's too hard for younger kids. But you know, my son loves watching it. Right, he loves like the whole moment to moment part of it, and the sort of, you know, rock paper scissors of like, oh, this Bugsnax loves ketchup, and this Bugsnax, you know, whatever. I think, like you guys said, that kind of overstays its welcome a little bit because you just. You know, I think there's like a weird sort of balance between like that being part of the game and then chasing down side quests, and there just being overall a bit of like unevenness there. Yeah, that I think you know, looking at it as a whole package, you know, you will likely favor on one side and kind of go down that path. I also think you know, like you said, you do go to a number of different worlds. The loading between that is kind of long.
Yeah, what are you playing on?
I have it on PS5 and I have not played it on PS5 yet. I've been playing it on PS4.
You've been playing on PS4.
I've heard PS4 is Ben was saying the loads on PS4 are rough. The loads on PC have been okay, but still get in the way of the backtracking and the amount of the way they set up the zones is basically there's a hub, then a ring, and then an outer ring. So sometimes to get to that outer ring, you just have to load into that middle ring first and then run through it and get to that outer ring. And that, when you know, you're like, oh, I just need this Scoopy Banoopy. And you're like, oh, okay, I got to run through this load, 3 loads to get there. just to get this thing because I had one, but then I dropped it because I needed more space. But now this person wants Snoopy Banoopy feet.
This seems to me to be like the persistent problem for stuff that is cross-gen at launch. Like obviously everything I've been playing cross-gen has been on 1X to Series X, but like everything I've been playing on the 1X, like the load times are significant, especially like initial loads into worlds and things like that. And then as soon as I boot them up on this other machine, it's like they're almost non-existent. Not non-existent, but they're real close to non-existent.
I will say I've been playing on the PlayStation 4 Pro for Bugsnax, and like there are load screens, but they aren't anything that I'm like, oh boy, it's not like a control thing. Remember the load screens on control?
Yes.
It's just like, okay, it's a load screen. I don't know. I haven't had an issue with it. It hasn't felt abnormal or unusual or in any way turning me off of the game.
Wonder if I haven't tried it yet, and I presume it wouldn't work, but I don't know if a PS4 save would work on the PS5 version of the game. I think that varies by game, but yeah, that's Bugsnax.
Bugsnax. I think it is a thing that is wildly different than what is currently safe and out there right now in terms of development, and I think that's being applauded. Because it is like, okay, cool. This looks different, and this is fun. And thank goodness, there's a breath of fresh air, in the market. Scoopy Banoopy.
It's fun. It's funny.
The writing's good. I like the characters.
You know, if you're playing it on a PlayStation, you hear like funny stuff come out of the controller, which is really funny.
Oh, that doesn't happen on the PC version.
Yeah, that's
probably by design.
That's
it can't.
It can't.
One
Thanks.
Quibble before we move on from Bugsnax.
Quibble.
Is aside from like, I feel like it's too hard to catch the bug, or like it's too tedious to catch the Bugsnax for me to like really want to fully transform the little creatures in the town. Yeah. I don't like the way they look when they've eaten Bugsnax. Like, I think they look kind of fucked up and weird when they have like a chipped nose and like weird pineapple teeth.
Yeah,
I don't like it. Like, I wish it was like cuter and like worked better with like the rest of them versus just like a slapped on grape for like their hand or like you know what I mean? Like, I feel like what I want from this game is I want to be like, I'm gonna get so many Cinesnails, and you are going to be the Cinesnail king and like transform somebody to look like a Cinesnail, or I want it to like look like a more full bodied, like I'm going to give you popcorn feet and then like whatever hands, and like you'll look cool, but I know you can decide, but I think it looks so bad.
Yeah, I love that part. That's my favorite part.
Really bad when you transform.
It's crazy where like someone will be like, check out my fingers. They're good. They're helpful for stuff. And then all of a sudden it's like, I don't know, like a marshmallow, like one marshmallow nub, and you're like, and they're like totally fine with the fact that they'll never pick up another thing ever again. I don't understand that.
So yeah.
See, Abby, I'm somewhat in disagreement though, because like I think one, having it look totally unnatural is great, but I think they should have gone a step further. As a big David Cronenberg fan, I think there should be a lengthy, horrifying transformation sequence where like you can see like the bones snap and the skin sort of melt into whatever the hell it is that it's turning into. I think there should be a lot of screaming involved. Yes. I think we should absolutely fuck up any child that dares to play this game. That is what I think.
That's a thought.
Just having Philbo be like, oh God, it's happening.
Funny as hell. I love him.
Yeah.
I just wish that it all worked better together versus just feeling like here's a slapped on piece for you because you ate a marshmallow.
Yeah, and sometimes the things do not make the body part what you'd think they'd make it. Like Bunger makes there's a Bunger, even though he has a curly French fry tusk, makes like a leg of French fry, and you're like, I've got a frieder for that. I don't need a Bunger for a French fry leg. But come for the weirdness, come for some of the side story stuff and the overall narrative in it.
And come because you got it for free from PlayStation Plus.
stay because it was free on PS5. But if you're coming to catch the bugs for that gameplay mechanic, I think that might let you down a bit. Also, I think it's fair to say they recycle a lot of the bugs with different skins. So there are multiple, but they change. I tried this out to make sure they change the body parts sometimes in different ways, but the bug, you might get, 4 variations of a strawberry and or
like there's a frieder and then there's like a sweet frieder, which is like a sweet potato fry.
Right. But they're basically, they might act a little different.
They're just like in different worlds.
Yeah. So yeah, it's Bugsnax. I think it's neat. I think it's priced at probably the right price. But I'll be interested to see what people say once they have completed it. Abby, certainly, I want to see what she compare notes at the end of it.
Yeah. I mean, I really like it. I think it's a sweet game. I like the story of it, and I think it's a good time.
Ben said the same thing to me. He's like, "Oh, Vinny, you need to let me know when you finish it." And I think my response when I was done was, "Huh." Well, yeah.
Oh, interesting. That's not what I expected.
Should I not finish it with my kid?
Yeah, it's also like this feels like such like a kid game to me.
You know him; he's sensitive,
like,
man.
Is it really? Is it the ending that makes it adult?
Abby, I'd like to get your opinion before I tell Jeff if he should finish it with this kid. If you're near the end, you probably only have like 20 minutes left. So
okay.
They kind of specifically tell you like this is a point of no return. Do you want to keep moving? So, So what else? So that's Bugsnax, Teardown, Crash. All right, let's dive in here. Actually, before we do that, Abby. Do you have anything else you want to add before we get on to some of the PS5 stuff and new stuff?
No, I mean, that's really I've been playing is Bugsnax and Teardown. I need to get back into playing my VR. There's thank you guys for letting me know about the Humble Bundle VR thing. I did get it. Haven't played any of the games yet, but a lot of good stuff in there. Excited for it. Also, still just playing. I was like trying to remember what I was going to talk about. I'm still just playing Fortnite, and I'm so ready for a new season of Fortnite. This one's been going on forever, and like the thing that happens is like once you hit level 100, you're like max level, but you can still keep over leveling, and it'll like basically turn like your skins into like it's an all gold skin or whatever for the season. But this season's all freaking Marvel characters, and I don't give a shit if Groot is like all silver. And I think it looks worse for the skin, and two, I'm never gonna use those skins anyway. So it's like so frustrating that like this is the one season that I'm like over leveling and doing a really good job on, and it's like I don't give a shit about any of these skins.
Wow,
I'm ready for.
They let you down.
I'm ready for it.
They let you down. All right, Abby, are you ready to be brought back up by some of this next gen talk here with these next gen fellas?
I'm almost living in the future.
Alex, let's start with you. We recorded a quick look for this isn't necessarily next gen, but you have tried some of it on the current gen. I should start saying.
We are now in the current gen. Everything before is last gen.
So we recorded a quick look for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I think this is now the time to talk about it. How have you enjoyed it? You played it on an Xbox Series X. You played it on an Xbox One X.
One X.
Tell me about it. The quick look, I should say, is on the One X.
Yes, it is. That was before the Series X had arrived. I will say that game does run a lot better on a Series X. It is cleaner looking. Frame rate is more steady. Loads faster. All that fun stuff. As far as the actual game goes, so this is the third in what I will refer to as the current trilogy of Assassin's Creed RPGs. It is following in the lineage of Origins and Odyssey. It is about Vikings. So if you're into Vikings and their Viking business, the things they do, the raids and the drinking and the what have you,
the good guys,
it's that. Yeah, it's Danes and Nordic folk, and so. You are Ivor, who is either a man or a woman, depending on what you choose, or if you decide to change later on, because there's literally an option to have it be either one and change during the course of the game if you want to, which they try to explain away by whoever's in the Animus saying, there's 2 data streams, what's going on? And then,
that's interesting.
Yeah, there might be an actual story reason for it, but they haven't gotten to it yet.
That's cool that they can just let you change at will, though. Because I heard that you could do that, and I figured it was like an Assassin's Creed Syndicate thing where you just have like the 2 characters, and like, they're playing the same story, but you can just hop between them. But that's interesting that it's like, it's the same character.
Yeah, it's literally the same person.
So wait, how much Animus stuff is there?
So, I mean, so where I'm at now is like the 16 or 17 hour mark or so. And if the last few games are any indication, I have a long way to go. But I've had exactly 1 extended sequence outside of the Animus at this point.
Okay.
And it does kind of set up what's going on with Layla, her storyline, like why they're back in the Animus, why they're back to their antics of trying to figure out what the hell is going on. She's still got that spear that makes her immortal. But as far as like what the actual disaster they're trying to avert is and what's going on, like I think it's better for people to discover that, because I don't know enough about it yet to have any real opinion of it.
Yeah.
But so you start out in Norway. You are part of a clan that has been betrayed by this guy named Kjotve the Cruel, who is a fucking brick shithouse of a man who also he killed your parents. He's a real shithead. He's constantly fucking with you and your people. So the early part of that game is about exacting revenge on him with your brother in arms, who is the heir apparent to the clan that you were taken in by after your clan was more or less destroyed by Kjotve. And so the early part is setting that up. Your brother Sigurd is known for his many voyages across the world, and in his latest one brings back a couple of dudes that he met in Constantinople who, let's just say, might be assassins. They have things like hidden wrist blades to hand around, and maybe
not so hidden wrist blades.
Maybe talking about a certain order that they're trying to take care of, all that fun stuff. So you meet up with them. They kind of teach you some shit about assassinating, which you're happy to do, but they don't like indoctrinate you into their group initially. They're just like, no, what if you just tried out this hidden wrist blade? What if you just put it on? What if you just did it? And then after that, there's some stuff happens. Ultimately, you and Sigurd and a bunch of people from your village decide that you are going to head out of Norway. And so you end up settling in Saxon-controlled England. So when you get there are 4 different kingdoms. They're all sort of, their own little territories. You're just kind of settling on their land, which they're not real pleased about. But you're also not the first Vikings to do that. There are other people that you have known from other Viking clans that have landed there. And in fact, you expect to meet one of them when you get there, but you find their settlement totally abandoned. You're not really sure where they went. So a little bit of a lost colony of Roanoke, kind of like mystery going on there, but they haven't actually figured out any of that stuff where I'm in the game yet. So right now it's all been about just settling your people down, building out your settlement with, new buildings, new businesses, what have you, while also doing all the Assassin's Creed adventuring that you have been doing over the last couple of games.
So I think that's an interesting thing to bring up, because it didn't surprise me, but it was nice to see when you say building up your settlement. It reminded me of Assassin's Creed 2. I think it was 2 that had you build out your town. And you're kind of getting upgrades for it. You're getting a blacksmith for it. You're getting all these things that, make the progression, I think, more interesting and fun, because you're trying to, instead of it's part of the problem I had with Origins, and I didn't get into Odyssey too much, is, it became very much a dump these points into this thing, and there's no narrative to it. It's very thin on explanation at that point. It is like, hey, do you want to remote control this arrow more? Do you suddenly want to be able to take more hits? Your wrist blade is stronger now. Previous Assassin's Creed games, they tried to work a little more narrative into these things. Hey, you're meeting with, I think it was like Da Vinci, and he's going to like help you out and get these things. So I like that they're putting a little more on top of the progression in terms of building out this infrastructure, while they're still keeping the points dump in the skill set. So I thought that was interesting. But this is very much in the Origins Odyssey vein.
Oh, totally. Yes. And it goes without saying, it was directed initially by the guy who directed Origins, who was the one who was let go from Ubisoft because he was cheating on his wife with Assassin's Creed fans and not telling them he was married. So that's a mess. But everything with Ubisoft is a mess. Like, there isn't one of these games I feel like you can play without being like, yeah, but also remember Ubisoft in the year they fucking had. So that's something to consider for yourself before maybe you run out and take the plunge on these. But, as far as the game itself goes, like pacing wise, it is a lot like Origins. Like it's slow as hell for a lot of the early goings. With Odyssey, like, I didn't love that game, but at the same time, it had a forward momentum for a lot of it that kept me going until the end when it kind of went off the rails. This one, a lot of weird shit is happening, but not necessarily like a lot of stuff that I find particularly interesting.
Okay.
Like, a lot of the quests have been fine. The characters I've met have been like interesting enough, but I haven't really latched on to anyone. Like the most interesting side quest I found in that game was just a guy sitting near some ruins who had an axe in his head, and he's not dead. And he's like, yeah, my head itches. I don't really know what's going on right now. And dude's like, and you just basically have to tell him like, yo, I got to pull this out of your skull and you need to go die because you're not going to survive this. And it's like a 5-minute little interlude. And then you just kind of talk to him for a little bit and you're like, all right, I'm going to do this. And he's like, cool, see you in Valhalla. And then you pull the fucking axe out and he just dies.
Why do you pull it out? Let him live with his axe in his head.
I don't think he would have made it very far, man.
He's definitely not going to make it far when you pull it out. Boy, you're a monster.
Well, look, they're all about getting to to Odin's table on the other side of Valhalla. Right. They want to hang out with all their warrior buddies, and I get it.
He was cheated. But, he was cheated of that.
But like the little moments like that, some of them are interesting. A lot of it is just like there's a weird tonal difference. I don't know how to describe it otherwise. Like a lot of the main characters are that sort of like, maybe they're jovial, maybe they're weirdos, but there is like a certain kind of seriousness to how they're treated within the game, kind of Assassin's Creed storytelling. But like all the like bit players, like all the little NPC people that you run into, they feel like, I think I said this during the stream, they feel like day players on Robin Hood Men in Tights. Like they just have these completely overwrought accents. They are shrieking at you constantly.
That's
like
fun.
It's funny to a point, but it feels like the two, like there were two different writing teams that are kind of at odds with one another. Okay. There's this one where you show up and there's a child in front of a house and you're like, hey, what's going on? How come you aren't in your house? It's like, you find out it's because like they are plagued by shit. Like the whole house, like underneath, there's like a big pile of shit under the house, and it is like toxic. Yes, but the fucking soliloquy that this kid delivers about the torment they are going through while they are suffering through the shit house is one, just beautifully horrendously acted, and on top of that, the writing is just so over the top and so absurd. Like it's. I had to put the controller down for a second when I came upon it. I was like, what are you doing?
That sounds
There's
amazing.
clips of it. There's clips of it around. You should look it up. Just look up Assassin's Creed Valhalla shithouse. You'll get there.
Just look up shit boy. By the way,
yeah.
You can, whatever you say for the rest of this segment, I will not be able to stop thinking about an action RPG based in the Men in Tights universe.
Oh, that would be amazing. I would love it.
Oh my goodness gracious. Look, it's fun inventing games, right?
A 100-hour Mel Brooks RPG.
Stop it. I can't handle that. Just sounds too good. All right.
Anyway,
the stamina bar in this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Combat's pretty very actiony. It seemed like from what I watched you play, maybe less assassinating, more kind of just full-on battles. I mean, you have siege battles in this one, right?
Yes. So a lot of it is raids, but there are also like big battles that are like story-driven. But yeah, a lot of it is like, in both cases, you essentially just run up on a location and, either you need to just kill everyone or you need to use the battering ram to knock down different gates while, they're throwing hot oil or arrows at you and what have you. And they're not like, there are definitely a lot of dudes on screen that are getting, sliced up and what have you. But like the actual battles are not like the most exciting thing. It's just kind of running around and killing a bunch of NPCs in a way that isn't quite Dynasty Warriors-esque, but it isn't that far off necessarily. Like other than a few like very specific high level enemies, like a lot of that is just killing grunts. So there isn't a whole lot to it.
Without going too much into any story spoilers, do you even have like a hit list? I mean, even in Origins, you had your assassination list.
Yes, there is. There is the Order of the Ancients, which is the thing that came after the Cult of Cosmos, which is the thing that exists, I guess, before they just decide to brand themselves as the Templars.
Okay.
So, but anyway, so those order targets are around. There are not as many of them as there were in Odyssey, which is for the best because there were way too fucking many of them in Odyssey. But there's still a whole like tree of different people that you need to unmask. And then once you unmask them, you need to go murk those dudes. Okay. So that is in there.
I'm looking forward to trying it out. I think that it's something that I watching you play. I should get into Odyssey at some point. I've just heard so long, and
It's long, dude.
I
It's
thought
super long.
Origins was long, and I hear Odyssey even takes it a step further.
Yes.
And I still haven't played Syndicate, which I hear is a very good Assassin's Creed. I know.
It's my favorite. I think it's the best. Yeah. I think it's the best.
I this is just such a broken record bullshit comment for me, but like, hey, every year I think about playing an Assassin's Creed game, and I think this is gonna be the year I try to play it, but I don't know.
This is the year.
Yeah, good.
Do it. You got all those fancy new consoles.
I know.
Never been a better time to start with the third game in what is ostensibly its own trilogy.
That's right.
I guess. I mean, I'm not gonna really invest that much into what's going on story-wise into this thing. So, you know,
I mean, most of what you need to know is Vikings are happening, and you know, the Vikings happening is interesting enough. I think, like, I'm hoping the story picks up at some point, because right now it's been a lot of just kind of like establishing different characters, like, and people coming into your settlements, kind of figuring out who the bad guys are, but not really entirely yet. So hopefully it picks up. You know, like Origins took a little while to pick up, but Origins also took like 10 hours to pick up. I'm like 17 into this one, and I'm still kind of like waiting for it to really kick into gear. So
God,
yeah,
I own these games. Well, up until Origins, I definitely own
I own these games.
I own these games. Multiple places like Steam and on consoles somewhere. I kind of just want one spot. Probably just the PC is where I should just go and just have them all in one spot and make sure and pick up the ones that I didn't, play the ones I haven't yet, like Odyssey and Syndicate and stuff like that. I was thinking, this would be a good spot for a PS5 or a Series X to go and play those backwards compatible on these things. But I should just do it on the PC. I think I already owned Syndicate on the PC during one Steam sale, or it's like, listen, man, you can just get the whole bundle here for $40 if you want. Here's 7 Assassin's Creed games. Let's go. Let's do it. And I was like, yeah, definitely. I already own 5 of these, but let's do it. Yeah.
Hey, real quick. So you said Alex, you're playing it on 2 different consoles, or did I
started on the One X, and then I just moved over to the Series X once that showed up.
And that was like that's a feature,
Seamless.
right? Where you can
seamless.
And what does it do? It's just if you logged into your Ubisoft thing?
No, I didn't have to do that. Like it's the Microsoft cloud save stuff. Like it literally just recognizes that you've already been playing this game on the Microsoft platform, and then it's like, okay, here's your shit, go.
But I want to say I read somewhere that there is like cross-gen or a cross-platform saving. Is that a thing? Or
that I don't know about. I have not tried it on any non-Microsoft platform at this time, so I don't know.
I'll look around for that. I could have sworn I saw someone tweet like, "Whoa, that I continued this on a different platform."
That'd be neat. Like it hooks into Uplay or something.
Yeah, like I feel like that's not a crazy thing, but whether or not it's a real thing is another story. But yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to play it. I'm excited it's out now. And again, you can go check out the quick look on the One X, and then if you want to see some of it run on a Series X, you can go check that out we did a console launch day-ish stream yesterday. You can go check that out.
Yes.
I will say on the cross-save stuff, not to do with Assassin's Creed, but my kids wanted to play some more Rocket League, and I don't think we've tried it or played it on the PC on our Steam version since Epic bought what's the name of the developer Rocket League team? Since let's just say yes.
Yeah.
And so then we had to link the account up to the Epic Store from the Steam thing, but I think it just ignores all of my parental controls on Steam, and they have changed all the menus and stuff. So my kid just wound up in this online match, playing against other people online. And he's like, "Dad, I don't think I'm supposed to be here." And I was like, "Wait, what are you doing?" I don't know. These are real people.
No, that's
so funny.
You gotta push him into the deep end with no floaty. That's what you gotta do.
But also the thing that. So speaking of the cross-save stuff is they were like, hey, you have this on multiple platforms. I've got it on PS4. You've got it on here. They're like, which is your primary one? And it kind of sucked, I think, because I wasn't sure which one I had bought the most DLC on. I think it was the PC, but I felt like I had to pick. And I was like, am I just going to lose it on the other platform? I'm not 100% sure if I did because I don't care that much. But for about definitely 30 to 20 seconds, I was like, do I care about losing DLC? Because that's going to suck. So interesting thing about that.
I just want to update my question from a second ago. Ubisoft does have the ability to cross sync everything. Progress is linked across every platform you can play the game on.
I like that.
So that's really dope.
Yeah, that is actually pretty neat.
Yeah.
Especially when stuff goes free on some of those services like Game Pass and PS Plus.
And when you're trying to capture gameplay off many different platforms, like that's perfect for your video. So thanks.
Alex.
Yes.
So you have a One X now.
A Series X.
Sorry, Series X. This is gonna plague me.
It's never going to stop. It's never going to stop.
The Xbox names are bad this round.
I agree.
They goofed them. They goofed them big time.
SXS, SXS.
We are in
XX.
Wii U territory here, man.
What do you think? What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I think my thoughts so far are it runs these games well. Like I feel like everything that I've booted up that I tried on a previous platform and moved up here, like you can see the difference. Like in Yakuza, it's not as much of like a big visual bump, but the initial loads are much snappier. And like with Assassin's Creed, like there is enough of a fidelity bump that I was like, oh, this is significant. I haven't played a ton of other stuff yet because I did just get it, I guess 2 days ago. But I booted up Tetris Effect. We did that during the stream. We did a little bit of the co-op in that, which seems real cool. That game is real cool, but it's nice that they added that stuff. I did download some other games that I want to boot up and check out, like some Xbox One games and see how they're looking, because I've heard some of that like dynamic HDR stuff and other things that they're doing like have really beefed up some of these games. But like the system runs snappy for the most part. Like I did throw the ultimate test at it. I gave it my Rock Band DLC and said make it work.
Yeah.
And the longest part, of course, was the overnight download. But as soon as I booted it up and said, all right, discover all this DLC, it took about 35 minutes, which is a lot faster than it is on previous platforms.
Wait, it took 35 minutes to download?
No, to
discover.
The song
the database
in the game.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And then once it does that, like... So this is a weird thing, and I think this might just be me. I'm not sure, but so I booted it up last night just to jump into the game, and there was like a weird load at the beginning that felt wrong, and I wasn't sure what was going on. But then also when I was playing, I got a couple of hitches. Like for a rhythm game, you don't want that. You don't want the game like hitching or chugging in any way. But then I booted it up today, and I've had none of that. So I don't know if something was just downloading in the background and it was slowing the system down or what.
Maybe.
But I booted up today, and it's just like it just loads everything. Just snap, go.
We're here. We did it. Finally.
We did it.
And how are you doing on hard drive space?
71% full.
Okay. And you said you wind up getting the extra storage as well, but it hasn't shown up yet?
It shows up on Sunday. Yeah, I looked at it and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna fucking bite the bullet and do this. So I have 2 terabytes or 1.65 terabytes that you end up with a usable space or whatever. Yeah. But I just decided to bite the bullet. I don't necessarily recommend everyone go and do that because I'm a moron. But
I mean, listen, you have very
I just felt like
needs. Anything else, Alex?
Nothing to really report on significantly yet. I just put hands to Fuser for a hot second yesterday, but I've not had much time to really mess around with it. I've mostly been watching other people's mixes. I think that thing is a super cool tool set. It doesn't seem like much of a game, but it is a game. It has a game part, but mostly it seems like a tool set to make some absolutely fucking demonic mashups. We'll talk a little bit more about this in the news section when we start talking about copyright stuff, but I will say that I feel for Harmonix trying to release a music and sample heavy video game right now amid some other bullshit going on. But I think that at least the technology behind it seems real cool.
I watched only a few videos, a handful of videos, and immediately was like, oh, I think I like this. And that's, I wasn't exactly sure what it was, but from the videos I saw, it had hints of, and I still am not 100% sure what you do in it, of DJ Hero. I think it's a little less structured than DJ Hero, but I really like DJ Hero, and so from what I saw, I think it's also might be on Game Pass right now, which I need to double check. Yeah, and check.
Well, so the thing is, it's not like DJ Hero in the sense that, like, yes, there are ways you can mix these songs together in DJ Hero, but it's not just like a every piece can fit together kind of thing. Right. This is a lot more like Drop Mix, the physical board game, but mostly just an excuse to fuck around with weird music thing that Harmonix made a few years ago. And this is just the digital version of that. And, you know, for what it's worth, the actual mixing technology and the way that it all seems to like fit these deeply disparate songs together really does seem very cool. So I look forward to messing around with that and getting a bunch of copyright strikes.
We're getting a notification here in the chat that Fuser is not on Game Pass. So maybe I was
okay. I got it on Steam. I don't know that it's. I mean, I don't think it's on consoles right now. I don't know if it's on other PC platforms yet.
It's on Epic Game Store. So maybe that's where I saw it. So Alex, you're good.
Yeah, I also, just as a real quick hit here, I haven't tried it yet, but American Truck Simulator just surprise dropped Colorado. So new state dropped. If you're into that, you want to go drive around the Rockies.
Midwest.
Yeah. Go get high in Denver.
So
go ship some weed.
What are they're working their way west to east with these packs?
Yes.
All right.
And Colorado is the furthest east they have gotten so far.
Okay. Bacalar.
Hey, I feel like I have a lot to talk about.
Let's get started. It's time for Bacalar.
Well, it was, the timing really boned us last week because the PS5 review embargo only expired a few hours after we signed off on our podcast here. So I know we're kind of like a week behind, but and you can buy a fucking one today. So maybe we don't even talk about PlayStation 5. But how have you heard it's been going for people who are trying to buy it today? I have like 7 friends. Yeah, I want to echo that. It's bad. It's bad.
I have friends who today were like, Walmart at noon. I gotta be there. I gotta be there. I put it in my cart, but it wouldn't let me buy it, and then they were sold out. Or like I can't hit the button, and then it was sold out. Like
so a lot of that. I know Walmart was doing we were doing like timed slots where it was like 9, 12, 3, 6, something like that. I know Costco's been putting bundles up randomly. It's been interesting, kind of just like watching my friends scramble for it in this like Call of Duty chat I'm in, and they're just like, what the fuck? And I'm just like, what do you guys expect? Like, this is, this is one of the few things we can predict now. This was gonna happen. Anyway, it's I feel like certain things are now coming to light, a week after this review. I didn't talk about it, obviously, because it was still under embargo, but I do want to bring up some of the things about the PS5's UI. And I know the West Coast people have been talking about it too when they did that live stream with the PS5 last week, right? Like there's some stuff in that new UI that I'm either on the fence about or I just straight up don't love.
That was their sentiment, I think, as well.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hear exactly what they said, but I just think there's certain things that maybe on paper seemed like they were going to be more accessible or more conveniently placed, but in reality, they've become maybe a bit more buried, not for any lack of trying, but just as a result of like how I find myself using a console, right? Like, and how I find myself going through the motions of bumping around in all the settings and stuff. It just isn't great. Getting to settings feels like a couple clicks too many. And I don't love the control center in the way that I loved the preview of it, if that makes any sense. Control center, it comes up
when you say the preview of it, you mean the video they put out?
So the video they put out, and my first couple of days with it, I was sort of maybe a little bit in the honeymoon period where I was like, hey, I love all this easy access to stuff. And that's true. Like when you do pop it up, basically when you hit that middle PlayStation button on the controller, the cross media bar shows up at the bottom, or like what used to be on the PS4, right? The problem is that that pops up, and then all these things called activity cards populate the center of the screen, and there's like there's too many of them. There's like a dozen of them, and all of a sudden you're just like, whoa, what did I do? What did I do? And they're all the same. They all look the same. Inside each icon are the graphics and details about what's going on, but they need to rework that in a way that it's more, transparent, or you can adjust the amount of cards that pop up. It's gonna change depending on what you're doing. So if you're playing a PS4 game, You're not going to get like game specific activity cards, maybe asides like trophy notifications, but you'll get other information. And then sometimes one card will be like, hey, your friend Corey's in a party. Want to join him? And you're like, well, that's not what I came here for. So that stuff just seems not great. And I don't love it. So I do hope they either tweak that or at least give you more administrative control over what exactly shows up when you hit that. It's also, I've been playing this thing for like 3 weeks now. It also seems like there's only one way to get all the stuff you've ever captured, whether it be a screenshot or a video. And that's by hitting that button and then like zooming all the way to the right. And that's like where something's going to show up.
As opposed to like a jump to the end or go sort?
As opposed to like, let me open up the app that all my stuff lives in, right? There was like a control.
Oh.
There was like a capture app.
Isn't there a media center with that stuff?
Yeah, it was something called like that.
No, isn't there currently or is that, am I wrong? I don't have one.
There is, but I think the only way to get there is all the way on the right.
Okay, all right.
I don't, you play around with it. And then the other big criticism I have is like how they handle parties and friends. And I still think that stuff, it's just, I don't know. When they teased it in that UX walkthrough, I thought I was getting more of like a Discord server kind of thing where like you just have a room and everyone can jump in this room and post media and do voice chat. I'll say this, like I've been jumping into certain rooms with my phone, and like when I see my friends playing,
God, your phone's huge.
Warzone, it's big. When I'll see, they're playing and I just go on and be like, hey, I'll be there in a second, and they can hear me and we can talk, and that's really cool. Xbox does that too with their app. So, but on the actual console, it takes a little bit of time understanding the logic of how it all works. You eventually can, if you get all your friends to say like, hey, we're going to call this chat room a certain name, and that's the one you go to when you sign on. And look, it's tough to articulate just because it does seem like there are a lot of things that show up when you launch this friends base or game base, whatever they call it. You'll see when you get one. It's
I saw some of this yesterday. We did a stream, and Jeff and Brad, I asked them to join each other's party, and that seemed like, whether because they're unfamiliar with it, it was like a 5-minute affair of them figuring out where do they go, how do you find what party, how do I join a party. Again, they might be unfamiliar with it. It didn't seem like they knew exactly what I was asking of them either, so that could have led to some of the confusion as well. But I thought it was supposed to be streamlined as well from that UI video.
It just seems like this was an opportunity to really master what I believe to be a fantastic UI in PS4. Like overall, for that entire life cycle, like that's a damn good.
It's pretty
UI.
Usable, yeah.
And this one, it, I think stylistically and like, the functionality wise, it's all there, but presentation wise, maybe it could use a bit of a bit of an audit.
From what I'm hearing from you and from Brad and from Jeff Gerstmann is that maybe this is when this is in the wild for a while and people realize when Sony realizes how people actually use this, there's going to be some major tweaking, because it seems like they stuffed the PS5 stuff into the PS4 UI in ways that aren't don't feel natural in a lot of ways, or aren't in the places you'd expect them to be.
It seems much more of like a reshelling than it does maybe like a from the ground up. And I'm sure the latter is true, or like this didn't go from the ground up, but I think it'll get there. These things evolve. Thankfully they can change. And
yes. Right.
I'm optimistic it'll work out. So yeah, that's like the take on the UI and stuff like that. It's weird, like going back to Xbox after playing with PlayStation for like a week straight. I was sort of like, I really don't like this Xbox UI either, but at least I'm like familiar with it in a way.
Right.
I know this garbage.
Yeah.
I know this. I know the frustrations here, and I've been able to do it. And it's this like painful familiarity that maybe is better than I thought it was.
Some folks really love that. Some folks really love that Xbox UI, and I think it comes down to what you probably use the most. Like, jump into anything, you'll be like, "Where is this?" Backler,
it's not flawless, but I do think it is the best that Xbox UI has ever been.
What are your thoughts on the controller life? There was a bit of back and forth yesterday during our stream with the PS5 where Jeff Kirschman was saying his did not last very long at all, and Brad was saying his had been just perfectly fine. Do you have any thoughts on the controller life on the DualSense?
Yeah, I'll err on the side of like perfectly fine.
Perfectly fine. Okay.
I think, I definitely think a decade of that DualShock 4 or whatever it was, kind of lasting way, shorter than you feel like it should have, has sort of like prepped us to appreciate any bump in that lifespan. So I think that's definitely, maybe some of the case. But yeah, the battery. I mean, like, I'm finding that I'm maybe charging it with, and I'll call regular use, like maybe 2 to 3 hours a day. I'm charging it maybe once or twice a week.
Oh,
okay. I thought you were gonna say every 2 to 3 hours. Yeah, that's kind of amazing.
That seems great.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's very unscientific, but I have not been in a situation, and I'm only using one controller. I haven't been in a situation where I'm like, oh, God damn it, this again, which I do all the time with DualShock 4s for sure.
Yeah, I had to buy the dock to make sure that those things get charged immediately upon putting them down. Anything else you want to say about the PS5 or Series X while we're
with
consoles?
PS5, I think I'm there was a lot of talk about backwards compatibility, and I think maybe Sony deserves a little bit of credit for maybe not making that big of a deal about the backwards compatibility, perhaps to a fault, where people were sort of like, these games are going to work, right? Like you're not staying quiet because you're hiding something, right? And no, in fact, backwards compatibility is just as good. And I kind of think, and there are a handful of examples where the backwards compatibility increases frame rate, load time in a way that's like really impressive. For my video that went up last week, I compared it to 2 games where it had close to no effect. In fact, it was Uncharted 4 and Last of Us 2. For whatever reason, PS5 loads Last of Us 2 slower than a PS4 Pro, which I found to be interesting. But
that is interesting. Maybe it's the way the game, the files are structured or something.
Who knows? There are a lot of games that are going to be getting patches, like Ghost of Tsushima's got a patch, Days Gone got a patch. There are games that are going to be getting patches, and then some games just with like the built-in, what do they call it, like game boost on PS5 will, net improved frame rates and load times. But overall, that whole experience for me is laid out pretty well, and I think Xbox and PlayStation kind of do a similarly good job of just sort of saying like that experience is going to essentially be 1-to-1, if not better. So so good on both of them for definitely preserving that. That's really good to see for sure.
I think I want to. As we're recording this live here, talking about these consoles, I think we're coming up on another blitz of people trying to get a PS5.
Oh, really?
I think we're coming out. I think the time is about to tick over. I see some people in the chat getting ready to spam their next retailer to try and
ready to see error screen.
Oh, my one of my Fortnite chats is going wild.
Yeah, so
ready to refresh right before 3 p.m.
Yeah, here we go. We should have built this into the chat today.
Yeah, right. Jeff, I also got a Series S in, and that is the most adorable little console I have ever seen.
Those were almost available, and it seemed like a little more easy to buy, and I was like tempted just because they're so tiny and cute.
It is remarkably cute and remarkably small. Like it is the cutest little fucking
small
thing.
Do you think
it might as well be in Bugsnax? Like,
do you think those will be do you think when we're looking back like 5 or 10 years from now, do you think that original launch Series X will be harder to find, or do you think that's going to be a big seller? Like, do you think that's going to be like, oh, those didn't sell well, they didn't make a ton of them, those are kind of
those are the X or the S?
The S, the like little cube.
The S. Okay.
Yeah. I wonder, like, is the S going to be one of those things where like, oh, you have an original like white cube S, like those they only made 300,000 of those. It wasn't a big seller. I don't see a lot of people talking. I don't see a lot of people talking about them. At least, and in our circles, we probably wouldn't, right? So maybe that's why.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this, like so I have a video going up on Saturday about basically like the post-review comparison, right? Like now that there's no embargoes, there's nothing left. Let's get it all out there. Let's talk about these two things. That is without a doubt the best value. I mean, just like getting in the door into Game Pass, like especially if you don't currently have an Xbox, getting your foot in the door with Game Pass. You know, there are features there that are exclusive. The S and the X mark like a sort of milestone for Xbox stuff. So that price point getting you into that generation, it's kind of remarkable. I mean, $300 is
especially if you're not doing 4K yet, you're not in that pool.
Right.
I think the storage remains to be seen, like what the how that capacity works out for if those games are a percentage smaller on the S, and if that is fine, and we'll see how that works out. But yeah, I also think it is a pretty good value for folks that are like, I don't need 4K, I don't need 120 frames per second.
The storage conversation is one that's probably got to be had at some point.
Oh yeah.
And man, the PS5 just straight up does not have enough storage.
No.
It just has, it's not even close in my opinion.
It's 667 gigs. Like that is nowhere near enough.
And this is not a situation like last gen when you could just swap out, that drive for something else out of the gate. The storage, I believe the storage on PS5 is soldered into the PCB. So you are just not replacing that. If anything,
you're not getting that thing out of there.
You're adding an NVMe drive to a separate compartment that you currently cannot even do with their, sort of consent, because they have yet to release a list of compatible drives. Yeah. So it's on them to kind of, and again, obviously these very, specific, data throughput prerequisites are what's sort of keeping this from becoming a thing. But right now it's tough. I mean, especially if you have fucking Warzone on your PS5,
you're done.
That's a third of your storage. A third of your storage already.
Yeah.
I all the PS4 stuff aside from Warzone, I have on like a separate hard drive.
Right.
And I will say this: I have had a couple issues with my external USB 3 drive kind of crapping out while connected to PS5. It's not all the time, but sometimes when I boot that up, I'll get one of those like
rebuilding the database.
Hey, your drive's fucked up. Do you want us to like fix it? So I'm getting that happening occasionally, but it could just be the drive, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, the storage situation with PS5 is not great, and it definitely is disappointing that there's no way to fix that at launch. And from what I've heard, there won't be recommended drives until next year.
So I think there's a couple of things, at least for me, that I'm hoping solve some of that problem, because that memory, as Alex knows, is expensive. That storage, and you bought it for the Xbox, but it's expensive.
It's a lot of money.
It's the price of the S. It is expensive. Yeah. So I'm hoping, for me personally, and hopefully for some other people out there, internet speeds get better. I have pretty good internet speed. If you need to delete stuff and re-download it, hopefully where you are, your internet speeds are okay.
Wait. Your first talking point is, I hope internet speed gets better
across the country.
So people can re-download stuff if they have
Unfortunately, I just don't think that's going to happen.
Not in the near future.
Yeah, it'll happen, but I think these consoles are ahead of that curve, right? It'll happen. It'll roll out.
I think 5G is what's going to solve that problem.
You do? You think that'll be like wired?
I don't think your ISP is just going to be like, okay, we're opening up the floodgate. I mean, I just don't think they'll have that.
Please do.
I just don't think that's the way. I don't think that's the path of least resistance. I think
maybe not. Either way, being able to
I hope I'm wrong.
Being able to re-download something a little faster, and also this is something to ask you: how is the downloading and then the copying over of the game? Because on my internet, it's pretty good. It's pretty fine downloading, but then the copying over was always a burden.
Right, and presumably, obviously, well, that is reliant on, that's tethered to the hardware. Right?
Yeah,
that has nothing to do with your internet. It's been fine as far as I can tell. I have not seen the issues that I definitely saw on PS4, especially with
huge
Call of
games,
Duty being the big culprit. It seems snappy, it seems fast. It should you're just dealing with different hardware. You're dealing with, not to mention this shit's soldered to the goddamn PCB. I mean, it's right there. Like
it's right there, touching it.
It's right there. It's touching, right? Like no, it's faster. And I haven't, because when I got my PS5, the first thing I did was put Warzone on it because I was like, I'm gonna keep playing this game, and that was not an issue, especially with all those DLC packs that have to like find their way into the bigger overall install.
Okay.
I can't really speak to like whether or not, for me, another big issue was like, hey, is this game going to just like take care of itself and I'm not going to have to babysit it and sort of like, hold its hand while it goes through all these different upgrade, stems and whatnot. And I haven't really seen that kind of be a thing yet where I can say, oh, that got taken care of. But in terms of your question about copying, that has not been an issue so far.
Oh, good. Okay. It seems a little faster, or it seems to not be
because it seems to not even be an issue.
Man, I think all of us here probably have decent internet to the point where, you're not spending 6 hours downloading a game. And imagine, in a world where that thing takes upwards of 6 hours, if not overnight to download a thing, your decision of whether you delete that thing because you're not playing it right now, or, have to buy more storage because you never know if your friend's going to call you, and then you have to wait the next day to play Apex Legends, which isn't that big. That's a bad example. But say Call of Duty. That sucks. That's
Apex has actually gotten up there
has
recently.
It? Okay.
That game is starting to get pretty beefy.
That sucks.
It is. Yeah, it is insane that you get on and you're ready to go, and it's like 8 hours.
Right.
8 hours.
Or no, I think the worst thing is like when it's like, no, it says 45 minutes. I'll check back in 45 minutes, and you're like, it's copying, man. I don't know. It's still said. Yeah. Oh, do you want to leave the chat, or should you want to hang out? It just says copying. It's at 2% now. I think it goes faster after like 10% if you just want to hang out. So what's up with you? How's it going?
Yeah, is this just going to be a chat?
Right, we're just on the phone.
It's just it's going.
We don't have a video game to keep between us.
Do you want to play something else, maybe? What else is free? Anything else, Jeff?
I do have games. I know we only talked about the consoles, but I do have games.
Yeah, what you got?
What games?
Yeah.
So I had started a little bit of Demon Souls.
Oh, what'd you think? Are you a Demon Souls fan, I should say? Do you remember a lot of the original? Start there.
Yeah, I definitely played as much as I could handle of the very first one.
Okay.
And obviously jumping back into this, I don't remember really any of it. It is one of probably even more so than some of the really sexy looking stuff in Spider-Man. Like, this game looks phenomenal. I really can't stress that enough, of just like with the HDR, like it is really, really impressive looking. And I feel like the first time I played that game, I was real confident early on, and then that game was just like, have a seat there, son. I'm about to show you some shit. And I feel like I'm close to that happening again in the remake. But yeah, I dig it, and everything so far. Like, that is the game that I now want to play, like, right now. Like, I want to get back there, and I want to do that and be back in that world. And just like I remember seeing just like the grimaces on enemies' faces when you hit them. Like, things are all right in that game until it's rendered unplayable by me, and then I'll have to switch back over to Spider-Man or something.
Anything else you want to talk about for new stuff?
I started Sackboy. That seems just like basically like a Little Big Planet, but just a platform game. Right. Which
Sackboy's Adventure, I think.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like, someone said this on Twitter, and it's totally true. Like, I think it was Jason who said it. Like, PS5's got some really good kids games out of the box.
Yeah,
like Astro,
Demon Souls,
Bugsnax to a point.
Demon Souls, yes.
Demon Souls. No, but like Spider-Man, all right. But yeah, there's some stuff there that's like really good out of the gate, which maybe isn't always associated with PlayStation launches. I never played this, but it showed up as like a Series X optimized game. Shit. Bright Memory. Have you guys ever played Bright Memory?
Yeah.
So yeah, we did. Yeah.
That I don't know what's going on in that game, but there's something about it that I'm just like, damn, they just made like a lion come out of like a giraffe's vampire body. I feel like I should just see what they're gonna do next. So I'm gonna keep playing this.
I'm a little confused with what is out there. Is it a full game?
It's like a 2-hour experience, I think, and it is intended to be essentially I don't know if it's a prequel or just like an opening chapter to a much longer game.
Okay.
But it's a small team, I believe, that is making that thing, and it's been in development for some time.
So yeah, I'll play the rest of that demo, wherever the hell that is.
Okay.
And then oddly enough, and this will be the last thing we can move on. Oddly enough, and I'm sure this is deliberate. I'm not a conspiracy theorist by any stretch, but this does feel deliberate. Up until right this moment, there was not an easy way to compare optimized multi-platform games on both consoles.
Okay.
Right? So like, for whatever reason, like if you wanted to like look at Watch Dogs on both you couldn't do it till today. If you wanted like, for whatever reason, the scheduling of delivery of review, it just wasn't in sync.
A lot of PS5 stuff came in pretty hot today.
Yeah, and the only game that I really looked at on both consoles that was optimized for both consoles was Devil May Cry 5 Ultimate Edition, and I feel like that's not the game that's gonna really let you compare. Like they both run it at 120 hertz. It looks good, and just from like a unscientific side by side of like gameplay on my screen, looking at each game side by side, I'm just not seeing really much of a difference there. So
Xbox wins, huh? Wow, you heard it here first.
So by that logic, Nintendo Switch, you are champion.
That's right.
Here's to you.
I'm excited for a year in. Obviously, it's the same thing with every launch when we get to some of those from the ground up new next gen games. I'm also interested to see where the PC stuff goes, if we are able to move forward on the PC stuff with some of these things we'll take for granted on the consoles. Are we going to get a little more? Is this haptic feedback stuff on the DualSense going to trickle into Microsoft's game space and then be adopted on the PC if Microsoft does put out a controller for their platforms? Because a lot of people using the Series X and the One X controllers on their PC. If that stuff becomes ubiquitous, it might happen. All right, Bacalar, anything else you want to talk about?
I think that's it, my friends.
All right, no like big giant pinball table just kind of appeared in your house.
No, it didn't, but we'll talk about our Extra Life thing later on, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay. We'll take a break. We'll take a break here, and we'll be back in a little bit. Let's quick check in here. Thumbs up or thumbs. I don't know if we have this ability. Let's say put in emotes. Thumbs up for if you got it on a Walmart or something, and were able to secure your PS5 in the chat, or a thumbs down if you tried and you didn't get it. So let's. I've seen a lot. I saw one person just say "fucking disaster." Okay, well.
Yeah, I had one of my buddies in the chat said he got one from Walmart. So good for
them.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Well, a lot of people don't seem very happy in there, so I apologize.
No, mostly
people just saying I'm a dick. Sorry, I was just trying to do journalism. That's what's up.
Just asking the important questions.
Yeah. All right. Should we take a break? So I can go refresh. So I can go refresh some sites. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back in a little bit. Hang tight. And we are back, folks. Hello. It's time to get into some news of the world. And the news of the world, I want to start with thank you for everybody who has contributed to Extra Life. Thanks for everybody who has streamed for Extra Life 2020, part of the Giant Bomb team. And even if you're not part of the team, thanks for streaming out there. Extra Life is a charity drive to raise money for all sorts of things, some of that including a network of hospitals that provide care for sick children, children who are going through a lot of tough stuff, and they get extra money to try and make their time there a little better. And we try to raise money for that. So thanks everybody for donating. We did some streaming last weekend. We'll have some more streaming coming up. Backlar, you and I are going to try and do some streaming this weekend with your pinball setup, right?
Yeah, we're gonna put you inside of it, and I'm very excited to see how that goes.
Wait, what?
Yeah, knock your balls around. No,
You being Vinny? So
yeah, knock Vinny's balls around. That's what we're gonna do.
For the kids, tune in for that to raise money. So we played a bunch of stuff. You can go check out the archives. I think are mostly up on the site now. You can check those out, and if you still want to donate, you can do so at. Let's see if I can get this right off the top of that. tinyurl.com/gbel2020 to donate. And if you want to join the Giant Bomb team or stream yourself, you can also do that. And donations are still open and will be, let's just say, indefinitely. You can always donate if you want. So thanks everybody. Abby, what did you think of Little Hope? We played through that. I had
a lot of fun. I like those games. I like making choices. A lot of casualties on our playthrough, unfortunately.
Hey, some.
But all in all, the ending makes no sense. I feel like they set up a lot of stuff that was interesting, and I was excited to see how it resolved, and then it was kind of a real non-ending, if you ask me. I feel like I didn't get resolutions on very many things. Like, it was a thing that as it happened, I was like, well, that's kind of cheap, but okay, I guess that wraps things up. But then, like, with more time, I was like, but wait, what about that thing? And wait, what about that thing?
What about that thing?
I'll never know.
Maybe we made all the wrong choices. Maybe we just didn't make the right choices.
Well, I made all the right choices. I wasn't the only one making choices.
I definitely did not. If you want to go check that out, you can watch the full playthrough of Little Hope. Abby and I played through that. We played some Phasmophobia, and then later on, I think Jan and Guess, thanks to the guests, and Ben and Guess played Bugdom, or attempted to play. I don't even know how far they got. That was about when I had to bounce out. And we played some Among Us again.
Yeah, we did.
And that was a lot of fun. And you could watch me really just turn a crowd on Alex in a way I felt terrible about, but that was a lot of fun.
No, I mean, that's the game, man.
that was really surprising to me how quickly people were willing to just not believe you. So check that out. Thanks, everybody. All right, other news. Alex, I have not had a chance to look at these news stories, so please, news man Alex Navarro, take us through this week's news.
All right, so it's a console launch, so inevitably there are a lot of videos going around of people having problems with some of their consoles. And inevitably launch hardware has issues. I will say, if you have seen issues of a smoking Xbox out there, there is a 99.9% likelihood that someone was just blowing vape smoke through their fucking Xbox, and it is not actually doing that. So maybe don't worry so much about that one. But at the same time, What do you want, Jeff? What is
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. What are we doing here?
What are we doing?
Look, Microsoft invented the vapor chamber. All right, they started this.
You're right. They deserve this. No, I don't know. I'm kind of speechless. The best was their tweet. They're like, we can't believe we have to say this, but
don't blow vape smoke through your console.
Don't be a fucking dickhead.
Yeah,
turns out you shouldn't be a fucking dickhead.
They put it in slightly more diplomatic terms than that.
Oh, yes. I thought it said that verbatim.
No,
did they just say, "Hey, you void your warranty"? Like, when you do that, you're just going to break.
I don't even think they went that far. They just
break your thing.
Don't do this.
It's not built for that.
Don't do this. But I think there's a little it's too chunky. I think there's a little bit of me that's like, what are you doing? But then I think the part that is stacking on top of my current frame of mind is like, who is believing that these are videos of things on fire? Like, come on, people. Like, my faith in humanity is low.
Oh, your problem is with the people who are just like, I believe that.
I believe that there's enough going on in the that's happening right now where people are like, well, that looks like a real video. I guess I'll just believe that that's a problem. Where like,
media literacy in this not just this country, this world in general is at an all-time low. So like, I as much as I want
to say, drama.
Yeah, there's that too.
Oh, they do.
Yeah,
Oh, they want something to be.
Human diarrhea is coming out of the fan in my Xbox.
Oh no! It turns out I just left a Hershey bar on top. No, it turns out.
And then Xbox have to be like, we don't know. We can't believe we have to say this, but don't shit in your Xbox. Do we really have to say?
Do I have to?
Don't fuck your Xbox.
Do I have to
Are
say?
you trying to fuck your Xbox? Don't fuck your Xbox.
And then Sony out there being
I'm
like,
not here to tell anyone.
You can fuck our PS5 if you want. That is completely legitimate. That's, I don't know what Microsoft's saying.
Tear down and someone
there's a reason.
It's shaped like that for a reason.
There's a reason we left that expansion slot in there and didn't put a hard drive out for it. You can absolutely fuck this PS5.
Oh dear God.
What else is going on, Alex?
I'm only going to refer to sexual intercourse now as filling the expansion slot. Anyway,
okay.
God.
All right.
Anyway, in terms of real problems that might actually be true, there are in fact some people reporting that the disk drives on their Series X's maybe not be working as intended. I've seen some videos going around of it clicking, making bad sounds even when the disk is running and loading. Some that just straight up will not accept disks. This does not seem to be a hugely widespread problem, but there are cases of it out there. And I will say I had that moment of panic with mine. I put in my other Rock Band 4 disc that I had laying around in there first, and it would not read it. And I was like, oh no, what's happening? And then it turned out there was a giant fucking scratch on that disc, so it wasn't doing anything. So I found my other one, put it in there, and it worked fine. So it wasn't that.
Who among us does not have multiple Rock Band 5 discs laying around?
I know, everyone. Well, it's 4, but they haven't made 5 yet.
4.
But, yeah.
Sorry. So this is so far this does not seem like a hoax. This is not people just trying to.
I don't think so.
Okay.
It doesn't seem like it. It seems like maybe just some people are having some tech issues with that stuff. Like I said, it does not seem like it is also widespread. It is just, a handful of cases. Just something to keep in mind if you've got hardware coming soon. Just, make sure that disk drive works.
I mean, some of this, I think this is what makes me a little unnerved as well. We did have this problem with the red ringing stuff, and it was a serious problem, and that was a legitimate problem.
Totally.
We have had problems with launch consoles pretty much throughout history. People are still sending back their Joy-Cons for drift problems on those. We don't need to invent them. we don't need people to poop in your box.
Yeah. So
don't
just
do it. It's tempting.
It's tempting.
Don't do it.
It's tempting.
Well, speaking of pooping in boxes, this next one is just embarrassing for a whole host of reasons. So, all right. This is one that I'm going to ramble a little bit about because it's particularly irritable to me and my sensibilities. But so over the course of the pandemic and especially in recent weeks, there has been an absolute deluge of DMCA takedowns being issued to people on Twitch. I assume this is also happening to people on YouTube and other places. Essentially, record labels apparently decided to hit the nuclear option during the course of this pandemic and just issue an just insane volley of these takedowns for, some of it is people playing licensed music in the background. Some of it is music that is licensed for those video games. But nonetheless, it is licensed artists. And a lot of that built-in tech can't necessarily differentiate between whether this game is allowed to have this or not. Right. Theoretically, that stuff is supposed to be flagged, but there have been so many cases over the years of that stuff not mattering that I think it's safer to assume that if a label wants to, they will just issue a takedown notice no matter what. But also, stuff like original scores for video games are getting DMC flags. Like covers of those scores are getting flags. Like all kinds of wild shit that you would think would be fine because it's the score for the video game that you are playing are not. They're getting takedown notices for this stuff. And it's nuts. And Twitch has had to come out and basically apologize for what a shit show this has been, but has also not actually offered any meaningful steps to people that, one, do not involve turning off all licensed music in any video game that you play, and two, deleting all your archives to make sure that like those don't get flagged down the road. And in some cases, I've seen at least a couple of anecdotal stories of people saying, I deleted my shit 10 days ago, and then I got a notice for a thing I already deleted, which is bonkers.
Yes.
So this is ongoing, and Twitch is trying to find some kind of solution for this that does not actually involve them really pushing back on any of these labels or publishing groups that are doing this, it seems like, because they have not said anything about like, okay, we're going to buy blanket licenses or this stuff. We're going to work on our technology to make sure that songs that, you know, are embedded in specific video games, like say you're playing Tony Hawk, we'll make sure that the songs that are on that soundtrack will not flag you, that kind of thing. Like nothing on that level has really been said here, as far as I can tell. It's a lot of like, here's some best practices to make sure this doesn't happen to you. And now I'm in a somewhat unique position, and I've been doing a weekly stream that involves a music video game. And as far as I know, I have gotten no takedown notices for any of that stuff. Our archives do get muted to absolute hell, to the point of uselessness on Twitch, but we are in the rarefied position where we have our own platform that we can then upload those archives to and let them live there, that is not YouTube or Twitch. Right. So in theory, we would feasibly be getting these DMCA takedown notices, but even like on the YouTube archives, we haven't been getting those as far as I know. And I'm wondering if this is, as far as I know, but I have not seen one legal notice sent my direction about any of that stuff. Yeah. And I'm wondering if there is an unfairly applied standard here, because again, our channel is, I believe, and I don't know this for a fact, but I'm just going to bandy this here. Our channel, as far as I know, is flagged as being part of CBS
on YouTube. CBS. I don't think on Twitch.
Yeah. Not on Twitch, but on YouTube.
On YouTube, yeah.
And as far as I know, and if I had to guess,
for the next 5 minutes,
if you are a channel that is owned by one of, let's say, several major media conglomerates, maybe they are not going after those channels the way that they are going after smaller creators who, you know, don't necessarily have any kind of corporate lawyer backing behind them, and therefore cannot necessarily challenge a DMCA takedown notice the way that, say, our lawyers could, but absolutely would not, because they don't give a fuck about what I'm doing. There's enough fear of those lawyers to prevent that from potentially happening to us. But in reality, CBS would absolutely not go to bat for me on this, especially now.
I certainly agree. I think there's a punching back aspect that protects. Yeah. I think there's also some agreements with licensed music being inherent to some of CBS's properties, or where those shows are licensing music. But you're absolutely right. We get special treatment on YouTube.
Yeah. And I think that's bullshit. Not necessarily that, like, I'm glad. I'm glad that I'm not getting flagged all the time, but it's horseshit that like anyone has to put up with this stuff just by like it. I understand you don't want people just playing the radio while they're playing video games. That's fine. I can understand that. But if it is stuff that is licensed for the game that is being played, being streamed, it's nuts.
Well, the solution to be like mute all your game audio is not. That makes no sense.
Yeah, it sucks shit.
And that is a part of the game that you are presenting on Twitch.
And I'll even give the benefit of the doubt for like, hey, these platforms and the rights holders don't want you just re-uploading a music video to like a one-for-one music video. That is how some of these places are, not necessarily the artists, but how some of these places are making their money. I understand that. But when it comes to the video game stuff, this is not a good solution. Twitch is making its money from people streaming video games. They need, if they want to, you figure out a better way.
Motherfuckers need to spend some money and actually defend the people using your platform from this stuff, because right now the solution you are offering is untenable and unreasonable for the average Twitch streamer. And look, this is me just kind of going off a rant here. I try not to do this too often, but this is a thing I care a lot about. I think we as a society have officially outgrown the need for major record labels and publishers. I think it's time to dismantle that entire fucking system. These people are useless. They are the ones that are more than happy to accept these absolutely obscene royalty rates from streaming services that give artists almost no money at all. It has always been a parasocial relationship between the companies that do this stuff and send these takedowns, and the artists who, by and large, I'm sure there are some artists that would be like, I never want my stuff streamed anywhere. The Hendrix people, for instance, are very adamant about that sort of thing. But most times I feel like when you ask an artist, hey, can I stream this song around this thing? I don't think they would really care. They would want to get paid. They want to have some sort of license in place for it to happen. But if it's for a song they've already licensed to a video game, I can't imagine too many of them would be like, well, actually, no. Well, these are publishing rights holders. These are label rights holders that are doing this, I think, by and large.
And I think there needs to be a threshold for damages, and I think we need to understand intent of the content with or without that music, right? If you're playing a game it doesn't necessarily, now maybe Rock Band aside, or games that are dedicated to this stuff, the content is not, and this is where, fair use usually comes into these gray arguments. How much does it change the value of the content if your song is in it or not? And for a lot of these games, it's the background music while you're off paragliding or riding cars in GTA, and it's not your fault that song is in there. And what are the total damages you would have made if that song was played in this game or not? A penny? Nothing? Like, how much are the majority of Twitch streamers making that would be like, well, I gotta get a piece of their fucking pie? And I think there are some top tier people, but that is not the majority of people on Twitch. And the majority of people on Twitch are not exclusively making money because they are restreaming other people's music on there. So I think that needs to come into consideration. And they have put this kind of tear the forest down the mentality for this problem, and I think listen, for a company that makes money from people streaming video games, it's not an acceptable solution for them.
No, they need to build some kind of firewall around their platform and the people who use it from this shit, because it is obscene, it's stupid, and I understand there are much bigger problems in the world right now, and that maybe this doesn't rank as highly as a lot of them. But I think the way that they are approaching this and the way that they are treating the people on their platform who use it, I think is just stupid as hell.
Yeah. And their response is, and listen, I don't know where that response is being generated from, who has the authority to do some of these responses I've seen that, like Abby said, are just like, well, maybe you can mute all your music in your game, all the audio in the game. It's like, it's a gross misunderstanding of what people are doing on that platform, and even how people in the upper echelons of Twitch would understand that this is how they make their money, and that's a ridiculous and kind of insulting thing to send out to people who are trying to be on their platform.
It's just so wild that like it's all automated, and I mean, I get it. Like, how could you?
It has to be, but also the automation itself has never worked well. It's never been fairly applied across platforms. And on top of that, like, it's just for the most minute bullshit. There was one that I was reading, like, someone thinks that they got flagged because a sound effect in a video game was part of a sound effect library. And because that library is a licensed thing that the developers had to pay for, that library is somehow in this system. So when that sound effect came on, it's like, oh, well, that's illegal use. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me with this shit?
Yeah, technology is crazy.
Well, it's skewed. The technology is completely skewed in the favor of the I was gonna say purported, but the purported rights holder, right? The person who's making the claim automatically gets favor, and it's on the content streamer to justify their use, right? And it's automatically considered that they are at fault, right? And it's like, I don't think that's a fair system.
It's like this immediately slanted like situation, right? It's not there's fine. That being said, like, how do you think it should work? It should be like taken care of after the fact in some sort of like arbitrational kind of thing, or
I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. They would make a lot more than I do. But here's one suggestion: is maybe those claims all go to the rights holder, and then it is up to them to then go by, hire somebody to go by and say, here's why you need to take this down. This person used this, and it was this. This is it meets the threshold for monetary damages.
Just like whack-a-mole thing.
The one problem.
Put the onus on them. Have the big companies hire a team of lawyers to go through the list instead of having all the content streamers just be taken down immediately. They've got the money.
I agree with that, but the one thing I will say is that in a lot of cases, like it's like I said, like the rights holders for music can be plentiful, and they can be spread across multiple different companies, multiple different legal teams, and so when I think the big part of the reason why these things are just sort of like blanketly done is because any one of these different entities can decide ultimately they don't want this stuff available. So like if someone who holds the publishing rights, even though the label has signed off on this stuff and the artist has signed off on this stuff, someone holds the publishing rights decides that, no, I want to make sure that we're getting paid for this, even though they probably also signed the agreement that allowed that song to be licensed in the first place. there's any number of different steps along the way where someone can just throw a wrench into the works.
But I think that onus needs to be put on either Twitch or those companies who are claiming these rights.
Yes.
And I think they need to spend that money and not affect the people at the bottom who are trying to make 5 cents off of their stream. Like they need to spend the time and money to justify their claim and say why this is damaging to them and why that person not making 5 cents off of their stream needs to take a background song that is in a GTA game off of their stream versus that person immediately just being taken down. Because, if somebody's doing a cooking channel and happens to have a premium show like the hotspot on in the background of their show on their Twitch stream, I don't think people are going there to listen to the hotspot, right? Like I don't think that is like CBS might make that claim, and I can't say CBS again for the next 5 minutes might make that claim. Yeah. Red Ventures might, but like I think that's a bit absurd. I think some of those claims of the blanket smashing the hammer down is too much, especially on a platform that its base is for people streaming video games. And I think that's what makes it the most absurd to me. Is like you built your company off of this, or at least Twitch has built their company off of this, and now you're kind of turning your back on some of this stuff. I think it's a little
I think
ridiculous.
If you are Twitch and you are making this ridiculous statement about like just turn all the music off for your video game and you are not just embarrassed beyond belief to have to be writing that, you have fucked up. Like that's you something needs to change there because this is not an acceptable outcome for anyone.
Yeah. And like
sorry, that shit got me mad. It just got me mad.
It got me more. I wasn't as mad until you started talking about it, and then it got me mad as well. It just got hooked right back into everything I'm angry about. So anyway, fuck
the DMCA.
It always has been a fuck the DMCA.
Yeah,
that thing. All right, well, let's move on.
There are other laws we need to focus on changing or getting overturned first, but at some point that thing needs to get reworked.
Yes, we'll just start over again. All right, and just start over with copyright. What else do we have in news?
Well, speaking of controlling the rights to things, Take-Two, publisher extraordinaire. They own a lot of companies. They own a lot of things. They are involved in a lot of different video game branches. They're involved in another one now. They have bought Codemasters, the makers of the Dirt series, the Grid series, really a lot of driving games at this point. They have made other things in the past, but for the most part, they are a drivey vroom vroom studio publisher. And so that is one thing that 2K did not really have in their portfolio. So they have gone out, they have made this purchase. I believe it is in the neighborhood of something like $970 million for the company. And they now Take-Two owns a division that makes driving games.
All right.
Okay.
What do you think overall? Codemasters, we should say. I realized this.
Long-time publisher.
Holy cow. They've made some games. They're a deep history there. I think
one of the biggest gaming companies in the UK for a very long time.
You think we get more like more outside of the Dirt series and like what is this acquisition, you think?
I don't know. Like the Dirt stuff I think does pretty well. They did buy Slightly Mad Studios at one point, and presumably they're working on something too. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't really know what purchases for 2K mean in the long run right now, because the only one I have right now in my recent memory is the Kerbal thing, and that game has apparently been delayed to like 2023. So we're not like I don't know what this means for the stuff that was in the works at Codemasters. If they're just going to roll right back into it, if they were future proofing against future projects, or they just want a piece of that dirt pie. I have no idea.
I want a piece of that dirt pie.
Whatever it was, I feel like this is just them putting themselves into a marketplace where they were not really making games.
Overlord 3 is what was on.
Finally.
All right, what's up next?
Next up, I don't remember if we touched on this last week, so I'm just going to quick hit it here. Control. It's getting a next-gen upgrade like many other games. But it is not getting it this year. It was supposed to, but now that next-gen update will not be coming until 2021. Now, I do believe this means that you will still be able to play the backward compat versions of that game on the new platforms, but you won't get the bells and whistles of the upgrade until that stuff comes along.
Okay.
Stuff gets delayed.
It happens.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, look, I played through Control. I do want to play it again on a platform that doesn't want to die when I play it, but at the same time, I can wait. Fair. I can wait.
Fair.
I played it on PC. It was all right. It performed well.
Yes.
I remember talking to you about that at the time, and you're like, it does not. I think we were still in the office. It does not perform well.
It still does not perform well on a launch PS4. It performs better than it did at the start, but not good.
All right, what's next?
Next up, this one's for me and Jeff Bakalar primarily.
Okay.
So we talk about EA Sports a lot. We talk about EA Sports maybe not always doing right by its sports licenses, especially in recent years.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. The fact that NHL has been roughly churning out the same game for 7 years and it's okay, but not great.
So you noticed that. All right, go on.
Yeah, I did. I do play these games, Jeff, just not as much as you. So unfortunately, well, I don't know. I'm going to say unfortunately, but it is what it is. It's not like anyone else was running out to claim these licenses, but EA has extended its licenses for the NHL and for UFC for the foreseeable future. They will have the UFC license until 2030, which sounds stupid when you say it out loud, but that is a year that is actually only 10 years away from now.
Yeah.
But and the NHL, the terms of the deals of the NHL was not they were not given out, but they said it's a multi-year deal. So for at least several more years, EA will continue to make NHL games. And I don't know if it's an exclusive license. There's still a chance maybe someone could step in and say, hey, we also like the sport of hockey and would like to try it. But I maybe not.
There's definitely just jump in very quickly. So Bakalar, hold that thought. But when you say, if you were to say, hey, did you guys play UFC 2030 yet? Or like, if you were to say, hey, did you play NHL 2027? Like, it sounds like cyborgs playing hockey, right? And it does not sound like
I'm kind of over that shit. Once we got to 2020, it was like
you were okay.
Well, once we got to 2020, everything fell the fuck apart.
That's
so
right.
It's like worrying about
But the game stuff, I don't know how to feel about this. I guess like a part of me was like, oh, all right, they are gonna try and do this, like where you wouldn't know it. And whether or not they would, I don't know, continue to evolve that series. But like, I'm happy that they're supporting the NHL on a selfish sort of basis. I
just want them to have money.
Happy, I'm happy for that, if anything. But I just don't know like what my reaction is supposed to be.
Your reaction is supposed to be
totally ambivalent.
No, you're supposed to ban anyone playing NHL games on Twitch because they don't have the NHL license. Only EA has the NHL license. So if you're playing,
someone went after someone for blowing the goal horn. And,
you know what? We should be paying the NHL for the privilege of being able to stream their video games. That's what we should do.
That's what we should be. That's another revenue source.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's this. Yeah.
Do you feel anything, Jeff? Do you feel anything about this other than quiet resignation?
I do feel that with just like a tiny bit of like with the side of like, oh, okay, so they're gonna keep making a game because it is entirely. I guess it was entirely possible they just weren't gonna anymore.
I think they sell well enough in Canada.
Where were they gonna just drop like this series?
I don't know. It's uncontested. Like.
It's uncontested and also clearly the bottom of their priority list when it comes to development resources for their sports games.
But like, is the NHL like goes into that meeting and they're like, hey, Bakalar, you're the NHL. Hey, we're gonna play hardball this year, and they walk in and they're like, all right, we want this amount of money for the license this year, EA, and EA's like, nah, we got at least one other person that is looking to license this thing. So they're gonna call me back any minute now. So if you don't take it now, okay, go with them.
And then EA's like, how about we got a better number for you? How about this?
I can't see what you're holding up. Oh, it's a zero.
Zero.
Okay.
Zero.
Zero. Yeah. So yeah, so like I wish competition is good in this place. Remember when 2K made sports games? I'm like, that was a fun time.
Well, they do. They still make NBA, but they also have no competition right now because EA can't get their fucking NBA shit together.
Yeah.
For me, like that's the thing, right? Like I more than anything want that competition back. So I feel like, you know, this sort of thing opens the door for that, you know, in a way that I don't know it wouldn't have if they were just like, all right, we're done with hockey now.
Well, if you guys like competition, then this last story that I flagged here, I think will make literally no one but me happy, but it is making me happy. So I'm just going to say
what is it?
So the wrestling game market is one of those markets where there has not really been any meaningful competition in a long time.
Okay.
But everyone was kind of assuming that after AEW launched, there would eventually be a video game for them because a bunch of the people that run that company are huge game nerds. And they announced their game finally, just I believe 2 nights ago. AEW is making a console video game. I don't know if it's going to be on PC as well, although it may very well be. It is being made by Ukes,
the
former makers. Yes.
Wait, what? This is the most incestuous thing I've ever heard. Are you kidding?
So here's what I know. Ukes no longer makes, obviously, the 2K games, the WWE games. And that was a fairly contentious
Weren't they making like something on the side that was like a...
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, so they were talking about making their own. They had their own engine that they were rebuilding. They had a bunch of animation tech that they were really excited about, and apparently 2K just straight up would not let them use. And so they were working on their own project, which I think was intended to be a Japan-only release that had nothing to do with WWE or what have you. And then somewhere in the middle of interviewing about that stuff and complaining about the relationship that they had with 2K just straight up cut them off and said, no, you're not doing this anymore, which resulted in WWE 2K20, a great video game. Great.
Was 2K20 the Daddy Dan? Was that one? Was that Abby? Was that with the big head?
I think so.
Okay.
I think it might have been.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a bad game.
Yeah.
So Ukes is making this AEW project. Obviously, there's not a lot out there about it yet, but it is. They straight up said the words that every wrestling game fan wants to hear. They said no mercy. They said WCW Revenge, that style of game, obviously with a coat of polish. Some of the early graphics they showed look a little more exaggerated. They're not going for photorealism. I'm excited that they're doing it. I'm just glad that someone is doing something different. That some other company is going to step in. Hopefully it's not a TNA situation or that Lucha Libre game that Konami put out. Remember that fucking press conference, Vinny? You remember that with the luchadors at the Konami press conference?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I want that. No, please do that. Yes.
Well, I want that, but I don't want that game. So if they make a better game, that would be very exciting to me. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. It would just be really nice to like a wrestling game again that isn't just Fire Pro.
Hey, can I ask? We haven't done. Boy, it feels like we haven't done wrestling in a long, long time. How is AEW doing?
It's been nice.
I know it's been a while.
Without Dan here, I feel like I want to keep all of you away from that stuff because I know you don't need it in your life, and that's fine. I'm more than happy to absorb it all myself. I'm like the guy in that meme image where it's like all like missiles and knives and bullets coming at you, but the word is wrestling, and you're all sleeping quietly in your bed. Anyway,
I have no idea what you're talking about, but yeah, I could see it now.
Someone will find it and show it to you. Anyway, the point is, AEW is doing pretty well. Their only competition is on Wednesday nights as far as TV ratings go, and that is not up against WWE's biggest shows, but it is up against one of their shows, and they consistently are winning the ratings week to week. They seem to be doing pretty well. Obviously, not being able to do live events on the scale that they probably plan to this year has impacted everyone's business. But WWE is hurting from that too. Like everyone kind of is, and I feel like AEW has mostly been able to handle it reasonably well. Like I would say that I have grave reservations about any company doing live events with audiences, no matter how spaced out they are in 2020.
Yeah.
But and I definitely have some qualms about how they've handled some of that stuff. But in general, like I feel like they've mostly pivoted to being able to do the shows they want to do in reasonably safe environments, as far as I can tell.
And their content is pretty good.
Generally pretty good. Like I'm not watching any wrestling regularly right now. I will check in on the shows when it seems like something cool is happening. I'm watching a little New Japan here and there, but for the most part, I've largely checked out of wrestling this year because it has not been a great year for wrestling in general as a medium.
Man, I remember when I used to watch, like the ratings were such a big deal. Like after the Monday night ratings,
the Monday night stuff.
Oh my gosh, that's all like. I mean, I'm really dating myself, but there were like all those hotlines you could call up.
Mm-hmm.
There were like 1-800 or whatever the fuck they were back then.
Yeah, Stagger Lee telling you to call the WCW hotline to find out, the fucking whatever Jerry Flynn was up to that week. Yes, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And they would like boast the ratings at the top of the whole thing. Man, what a time.
Well, they even got to the point where like the ratings were so important that like WCW got so shitty they would actually spoil stuff that was happening on the Monday Night Raw because Monday Night Raw was taped a lot of the time.
Oh, that's interesting.
So it'd be like and backfired on them. Remember like when they announced like, oh well, apparently Mick Foley's winning the title tonight. Yeah. That'll fucking draw the ratings. And then they got creamed. WCW got creamed that night because everyone changed the channel to watch that happen.
That's so funny.
Anyway, well, that's my wrestling talk for this year, where I think we're good for the rest of the year.
Got it. We hit the quota.
Let's see. Yep. Oh, we don't have too much time left in it. So yeah, that's it's gonna do it for the news as well. Unless anybody else has any news they want to drop in here. I didn't see anything else in the document as I'm scrolling down. Yeah, we'll wrap up here and then we'll hit a couple of emails and we'll call it and start making our way towards the weekend. So folks, stick around. We're gonna have a quick break here. We'll be right back, and then we'll have some emails and our farewells until the weekend. Well, we'll have some stuff going on tomorrow, but in my mind, I'm getting ready. So here, enjoy this this music. Folks, we are back. Oh, folks, we are back. Oh, my mic was like red for a second there. Folks, we are back. Maybe I was getting too loud. On my microphone.
Too excited.
We are back, and everything is the same except for Alex Navarro showing off that he got a PlayStation 5.
Is that PS5?
PlayStation 5.
Yeah, no, this is the world's first 8K console. It says so right here.
It says it right on the box.
Dude, oh gosh.
In the mail.
I want mine. I want
8K stuff is just.
Look at that. Look at he's very.
Whoa. Okay.
All right. Ooh. If you want, we know he's gonna. You want to check out?
I'll pay $500 for this thing. I'll hug it if I want to.
You could definitely hug it.
I think you deserve it.
Check out your expansion.
Hug away.
Slot.
I have some cool show and tell.
Okay, and then we have Bacalar.
Cool. Bacalar's holding a box that says "Busted Up." Busted up. This is how it ends. Fake distressed. There is a Ghostbusters logo on it.
And it says,
"Oh, did you buy those damn shoes?
What's in the box?
Did you buy those fucking shoes?"
No, Alex. These aren't the stupid ones. These are the really nice. I think they're really nice.
Wait, there's stupid ones and not stupid ones.
Okay.
So there's shoes that are like they look like the Trap. With like crazy plastic
the Ghostbusters trap. Well, hold this up so that people can listen to it.
But these
those are ugly Reeboks.
Are the khaki
they look like shoes my grandpa wears.
So it's the color of
they look orthopedic. They look absolutely orthopedic.
It's the color of the overalls with the a Ghostbusters logo right on the tongue, and then
it's like their khaki uniforms, right?
Like imagine like a classic Reebok, like orthopedic,
and the Reebok. Name tag,
like
the last name of the Ghostbusters.
Like the tags,
It's also got like this almost like cool little.
It says "Believe You" on the back.
It was like bomber jacket, like
like
quilted.
Quilted. It's like quilted. They are pretty cool.
Why?
They're old man shoes. Abby. Your opinion has been cemented.
But the more you see of them,
why does it look like
it's got subtle detailing.
What?
It's also got like green slime.
Oh, you stepped in green slime on the bottom. Okay.
And then like the warning trap thing on the
trap
side
thing,
I think these are really slick. I think they're really cool.
So
I think my only complaint about these is that it should have been the real Ghostbusters, and you should be able to get 4 different colors of jumpsuit color for your shoes.
Shit, I'm kind of down for that.
So,
all right.
So that shoe says we believe you. Does the other shoe say we're ready to?
Yeah, so they come with two.
Oh, it just says ready to.
Ready to.
Oh, ready to believe you.
Okay.
Mm.
Oh, it
So
does
yeah.
have slime
one
on
of
there.
them.
Yeah.
They're pretty neat. The slime is a nice touch.
That's not bad.
The slime's nice. I really like the trap warning label, the yellow and black on the side. I had to jump on them. They were not that expensive.
So
that's good.
Did you pre-order them? Did you have to do something like
honestly
wait online? Online.
Someone tweeted about it. I have a couple friends in the sneaker game, and they were available for a limited time, and I jumped on it. And
you were like, missed that keyboard, got the shoes.
What's that?
Missed the keyboard, got the shoes.
Yes. Look, I'll settle for these. When I say they're not expensive, what do you think I paid for
$60.
I think you paid $150.
I think you paid somewhere between 80 and 90.
60.
$90, yeah.
Okay. How much is a pair of sneakers?
I mean, that's for like sneakerhead people. That's real cheap.
Yeah. But how much you're like your everyday carry? You're like, I'm going out.
If I'm just going out and buy a pair of Vans, they're like $40 or $50 at most.
Yeah, I mean, I upgraded my sneaker situation in the last 3 years. I used to only pay like maybe 60 to 80, but now I'm up near like 130.
130. So when you pay 130 for a pair of sneakers, is that I got to take like a toothbrush to them when I get home, and like somebody stepped on them, bummed out.
So I don't want to get all.
Well, we do need to do emails here at some point, but
in the woods here. But like when I get a new pair of sneakers that are something like an Ultra Boost or like like an NMD, I usually will spray them with like a protectant that I find kind of works for like.
What are you using?
Taking off a little bit of the funk, so like a funk propellant.
A funk propellant.
And I've been known to like clean shoes if I get them. Throw them in the washer. Dirtier than normal. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I have like a brush and a solution that I'll use on them.
My favorite thing. Do y'all do this when I get shoes? I always am like, I love these shoes. These are my shoes, and then I will wear them until they are dead, and then I will buy the exact same pair, and it's my favorite. And then sometimes they'll stop selling them, which is the worst, and it's really upsetting.
Yeah.
I bought two pairs of a sneaker that I knew they were going to stop making.
Sometimes I'll do that,
for other shoes.
Even if the thing is like, I bought these. These didn't last long at all. These lasted way shorter than I thought. I better buy them again, which is a bad move. Don't do that. Yeah,
they didn't make them better. They never do.
They should make them better. Did you know there was a really cool? I almost messaged. I was going to start this off as a joke, but then realized, you know what? Half joking here. There was a cool Batman Transformer as part of a Transformer. I forget which convention it was. That was sold out super quickly, but it was a cool Batman Transformer transformed from the Batwing into Batman. I was like, oh, Jeff's a big Batman. He likes Batman.
Wait, I thought it's only robots. It turns into a human?
It looks like a Batman in kind of like a robot-y suit, kind of.
Got it.
Like a Batman cool. Robot. Yeah, it was pretty cool. But sold out pretty quickly. All right, let's get into the emails. If you have an email, you can send them into beastcast@giantbomb.com. That is beastcast@giantbomb.com. Abby Russell, what do we have in store for the emails today?
Okay, Alex, please read this one from Joe.
Sure thing. Joe says, hello, Beasties. In your opinion, what are the worst control inputs in gaming? I've always hated having to wiggle a joystick to win a grapple in early wrestling games, and more recently, I'm not very keen on actions that require clicking in the thumbsticks, usually to run faster. Do you have any input peeves?
Ooh, good question.
I don't mind clicking the thumbsticks if I click it in once and I'm done and it just runs. But if I have to hold it in, then I'm like, oh, we're going to get into like hand cramping territory. I can't use the joystick like I gotta. That's the things I don't like. And I think more the issue I have is less like a specific control and more like, why is this set up all funny from like the rest of everything else? Like when you have to like run with the triggers, when other games run with like clicking in the stick, it's like, I want just like consistency across the board and you can't have it. And that's what annoys me.
I think the worst thing a game could do is make you have to hold the trigger and push the bumper on the same side of the stick at the same time. Don't do that.
Does that happen a lot?
I don't want to do the two fingers.
It happens enough where they all do the thing where it's like everybody uses their index fingers for the triggers, right? Nobody wants to use their middle finger for the triggers.
Oh, I'm a pinky guy.
I do it. I don't like it.
We know that. I've seen pictures of you drinking wine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like they I don't like that. There are some games that'll map their stuff like that, and that's just that's bad. Don't do that. Don't do that. Remember the white and black buttons on the controllers? Remember those little bottom buttons?
Oh yeah, they were like afterthoughts.
Yeah,
right?
those were bad.
Those were bad
afterthoughts
at the top.
Sorry, Alex, go ahead.
I would say, so I've never liked clicking and sticks. I don't enjoy it. If it's a one-time thing, that's fine. But if it's something I have to do to like repeatedly to either turn on and off an action or what have you, it sucks. I don't think the stick feel has ever been good for that. I will also say that any game that makes you mash any button that is not just one of these 4 face buttons or maybe the D-pad, as long as the D-pad is good, that sucks. Having to mash triggers sucks. Having to mash up here sucks. I don't like mashing anything that is not really these buttons right here that I'm pointing at, the ones that are the main buttons for everything.
Mashing is just stupid straight up. Full
yeah.
stop.
I turn it off now. If they give me the option, I switch it to hold, just because I also find it kind of.
It's just. I mean, it was cute the first 43,000 times, and now it's like, all right, we're
no more
here. Yeah, I don't like unless it's attached to some sort of like lock picking thing. I don't like the whole like rotate the stick. You know, that kind of like, again, these are all falling into like the button mashing category where it's just like, don't make me do shit.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, I don't want to have to move my hands from like the 2 grip to have to like hold one on top to like turn a thing or like, you know what I mean? When you gotta like, I gotta like set down the controller to really get it going. No, thank you.
Motion controls, not a fan. Not a fan of.
I love them. I love them for like subtle aiming, like on Splatoon. Oh my goodness, bring it for everything. It's the best. It's the best.
I like it for if you give me like a fun object that I just found in a game and I can use my controller to like turn it around and look at it, and if there's like a little like hint at the bottom of it, I'm okay with that. You can do that party trick with me, I think.
Anything that requires you to be aggressive. This is the button mashing thing too, like with the left or right analog stick, like shake this thing to get untied, or especially now with kids, I'm just like, we're not playing this game anymore. This stick is clearly going to break in like 2 seconds, and you don't know how to play with my toys. We're putting this away. Anything that is like Mario Party style things where they like put your hand on the thing, just rock that. I've already replaced like 3 controllers already. All right. Good question. Next question.
Yeah. Okay. Moving right along. Jeff, will you read this one from Vince, please?
Ooh.
Yes. I recently learned that Cody Bellinger, who is a star center fielder on the Dodgers, they won the World Series this year.
Congratulations.
Congrats to the Dodgers, I guess. Is going to be featured in Assassin's Creed Valhalla as a fight tied to the main story.
All right. Hey, all right. Listen. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'm still going.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Okay.
Bellinger seems pretty excited about the whole thing and did his own voice and motion capture work. This discovery made me wonder which celebrity, big or small, would you like to see in a video game, assuming that they were excited to be there and not just phoning it in. Baseball.
I as we propel forward on this thing we call life, folks, as we move forward and video games infiltrate every area of existence, there are going to be stars who are just like us. They poop just like us, who play video games and want to do stuff that are related to video games, right? Like we have Cavill, right? Like we have stuff that stuff is going to keep happening. So I think it is fun and amazing that these intersections happen. I'm happy for Cody, as long as Cody is a fan of Assassin's Creed and Cody's agent wasn't like, I've got a thing for you. You're going to love it. Do you like Vikings?
Now it's even that, hey, work is work, right?
Work is work.
Yeah.
It would be cool to have Danny DeVito as like some sort of animal doing the mocap for or like some sort of robot.
Danny DeVito is so close to that one of the characters in Bugsnax.
Yes.
And I was like, is that Danny? Is that because that is a Danny DeVito impression?
Yeah. He's in the desert, right?
Yeah.
Whatever his name is.
Crondo or something.
Cromple. You could just get a Bugsnax dartboard and you'll fucking land on the name of one of those motherfuckers. Here's Flurble.
Oh, you got Flurble?
Needs you to get him a pop tick.
Well, So wait, so we would mostly see in a video game, big or small. There have been so many big. Danny DeVito is a good one because I like Danny DeVito as well. Keanu Reeves, right?
Yeah.
I wish
Somebody make that happen.
I mean, look, I would love to see Nicolas Cage star in a video game, but I don't think they're gonna pay him to do that anytime soon. So I'm trying to think of like someone that's a little more off the beaten path. Who would not pay
Nicolas Cage to be in a video? Nicolas Cage has been so many other things. Like I feel like you get.
Yeah,
Nicolas
I feel like
Cage
that would make
easy.
total sense.
Well, then why hasn't anyone paid him to do it yet?
I don't know.
I'm surprised he wasn't in Death Stranding.
Just have him drive like a tutorial, like that portion of the game.
No, I want Nicolas Cage in like a Bithell game or like a real narrative game or like a Her Story style thing where it's just 5-second clips of Nicolas Cage and you have to piece the narrative together from Nicolas Cage.
Oh, you know what? Okay, I thought of one here actually. This is something I was thinking about a little bit while I was playing Yakuza 7. I don't know if he's a gamer. Doesn't really matter to me, but you know how Yakuza is very much about the protagonist just running into people with really stupid fucking problems and having to solve them constantly?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yes.
Nathan For You, the video game in the style of Yakuza. It is Nathan Fielder walking around, let's just say a chunk of Los Angeles where weirdos live, and having to go around and solve these ridiculous problems in the Nathan Fielder way.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good one.
I like that.
Yeah,
also,
like
there's fighting. He has to fight people too.
Yes.
I would like to see someone put Luis Guzman in a game.
Sure.
Okay.
That guy.
I haven't seen him in much lately.
Yeah, he's in a lot of stuff. I wonder what he's done lately, but I would just love to hear his voice and as a character. He's fun.
I would like to like in a Viva Pinata where he's really annoyed that he has like inherited this island of Viva Pinata and he doesn't know what to do with it. He's just frustrated the whole time.
He's funny as hell, man.
All right, next question.
Okie dokie, Vinny, please read this one from Nathan. I hope you have good advice on this one because I certainly don't.
Okay. Listen, I've got a problem, and Abby's hot tip on controller customization has me thinking. This year I hit a milestone age, and apparently everything is falling apart. Most importantly, my hands. I'm beginning to get arthritis in my hands, and gaming for any extended period of time causes my hands to become a stiff, inflamed mess. I'm sorry to hear that. Which discourages me from playing, and this is sad. Part of the problem, I believe, are my giant fucking hands gripping onto tiny baby controllers. I typically hate buying anything third party, especially accessories, but now that I am being forced to consider options for health, where should I go? What should I do? Any favorite brands I should consider? Thanks for your time, Nathan. Well, I'm with you, Nathan, on a couple of fronts here. So what is the big hands? One is feeling like everything falling apart. The giant size mitts.
Speaking of that Xbox controller,
is it? Well,
is it big?
It's the same size, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, talking about the
Duke.
The
old one.
I think the little burger.
Yeah, I think I was happy with that thing.
Did they nickname it the Duke, or that was like after the?
I don't remember.
So
okay.
So
someone called it that, and it's that in my brain forever. So
the Duke. I have stuck with the stock and default controller. Now I have not explored a lot of the third-party options for controllers, but if you really want to go down this route, I know that Able Gamers has some stuff you could probably look into to see what they're doing on that side. I know Microsoft has put out their accessibility controllers or accessibility platform for other controllers. If you really need to go look down that road for stuff. If you're looking for off-the-shelf stuff, I don't have too many answers for you other than the one, which is if you're playing on a Switch, get the Pro controller and stop using the Joy-Cons. I think the Pro controller is a better use. I almost refuse to play that thing without using the Pro controller. Is there a market out here? Hey, Nathan, maybe we'll take this offline. Is there a market out here for just XL controllers that are just the controllers scaled up 1.5 times for people that
I'm gonna Google large controllers.
They make those phones for older people that just have all the big numbers on them. Can we just get that?
Yeah, you just want like a jitterbug.
Yeah, is there a jitterbug of controllers out there that are just like, hey, it's the same controller, it's just scaled up for your mitts? Because if not, let's just do that. Let's just do that. Sell your controller in small, medium, and large, and extra large. And why not? Same components in it. You don't need more rumble. I don't know. Let's just do that. Hey, I've heard getting into the third-party accessory game, nobody's ever failed at that, right? You'd be a mad cat not to have a problem with that.
Good one.
Thank you very much. Oh, they're owned by somebody now? Somebody bought them? Did Alex and Harmonix buy Mad Cats? That happened?
No.
I thought somebody did, though.
Somebody did too.
Someone might have bought up their debt. I don't know, but I know that Mad Cats had a rough patch there for a while.
They had one good patch for a bit. They put out those arcade controllers. I think those were pretty good. I think I owned one. But yeah. All right. Oh, Logitech is chat is saying. No, we got a couple here. I don't know. For
on their Wikipedia, I'm not seeing any parent company.
Well, hey, remember when Logitech was going to change their name to Logi? And then
you bring that up like 4 times a year. I feel like I
love it for some
You're the only one.
Just
so you know, we're still not talking about that.
I hate that name. So I never figured out if it was Logi, like Logitech, or Logi. I assume it's Logi, but it's so bad. It's such a bad. It's so bad.
All you need to know is Logitech owns a lot of shit.
Oh yeah, they make a lot of stuff.
Including Blue microphones.
Wait,
really?
Do they?
Yeah.
Logi. I think you're great, and I think your products are amazing.
All right. Do we have any more emails? Should we do another one?
I do believe we have a couple more. Wait, no, one more. Okay. I'll read this one. This is from Kenny. And they say, if I'm walking on a sidewalk in New York City, how big of an umbrella can I use? I don't like getting wet.
Oh.
My answer to that, no umbrella. If you're walking around New York, don't have an umbrella. Get a good coat, no umbrella. Or the smallest umbrella possible. I'm going to say no umbrella. So I think the umbrella etiquette is bad. People are bad about it. They poke people in the eyes. Their umbrellas are like hitting each other on the way. It's awful. Going down the subway, they're like messing with it on the stairs. No umbrella.
Okay. I just think it's such a insane request to tell people to just wear a jacket. Look, I'm with you. Like,
if it's drizzling,
fine.
Yeah.
Umbrella logistics in Manhattan are awful. No one's going to argue with that. Okay, you shouldn't bring a freaking golf umbrella with you walking down the street like some fucking asshole.
We have to establish a little bit
of sidewalk dry.
A bit of the rules.
Right?
We're saying in a world this is like pre or post COVID, right? Because if you're doing it now, hell, bring a tarp and stretch it across the street.
Yeah.
Keep everybody.
My only experience is pre-COVID. So
if you're doing it now, go home.
Yeah.
Or stay out
your roof,
or stay outside more. I don't know. But I think I agree with Abby. If I think first option is you get yourself a nice parka or get a marmot a raincoat. You get something nice. It's going to cover. You're going to get some wet jeans, but you're going to survive. You're going to be okay.
It's part of the process. Maybe you can bring a change of pants for your work or whatever you're doing. You'll be fine.
But it does rain enough where you should have an umbrella in your bag. I think if it doesn't fit in your bag, then your umbrella is too big.
I like that size limitation. That's
okay. What I will say about that though is like collapsible umbrellas are so flimsy and shitty.
Yep.
Like I like the umbrellas that are not a piece of shit.
I have a longer normal like umbrella that is not much bigger, like when it extends out than like a pocket umbrella. And like, obviously, I'm a little more careful with it because it is longer and more likely to bop into someone. But, it is, for the most part, I have not had any major issues with it when I've been out in the rain. You need an umbrella when it is really raining. It's just, I'm sorry, you just need it. And as much as I agree, umbrella etiquette in the city is garbage. It just has to happen. I do have a funny story, though. I'm going to say maybe a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, as is now custom, we had one of our sudden torrential downpours that we have around in the now subtropical New York City. And I did not bring an umbrella with me because it had not said it was going to rain that day. And so I walk out, and it is sheets. It is absolute wall of water. And I'm like, okay, I got to do something. So I run across the street to the drugstore. I figure, okay, I can buy an umbrella there and it'll be fine. They're all sold out except for one kind of umbrella, which is the huddle a family of 4 underneath, borderline beach umbrella sized, like giant fucking mushroom. Anyway, so I buy this because it's the only thing that will get me through. And I feel like the biggest asshole in the world walking around with this thing because it is 3 times the size of any other umbrella on the sidewalk. I am constantly having to go up and down, trying to make sure I'm not bopping into people. And it's not even that far to the subway, but it felt like I walked 100 miles to get there in that. Funny. It sucked. So I still have that umbrella. I have not used it since.
So I'm definitely an over. I lift up the umbrella to try and go over people. Unfortunately, sometimes I feel like I also drip water on them when I do that. If there are other people around,
their umbrella will
no, sometimes people don't have an umbrella, and you're like going over, and you're like, sorry.
That's why you got to do the side
drip.
Just dump the water on them.
But I also get pretty irrationally, I'm going to say irrational because it's not rational, irrationally upset when people don't collapse their umbrella when they go under scaffolding. If you're under the scaffolding, got to close that umbrella, even if it's a short jog, even if it's just 1 block, close that thing up. We're all under the scaffolding and pop it back open.
Because there are pockets under the scaffolding that can still drip water. How do you not know this to be in?
You know what? Those are pockets you can avoid, and that's the thing. Is that like if you're already dressed for the rain, then a little bit of dripping from a scaffolding is not going to kill you.
That's not the water you want dripping on you. Okay?
None of it is.
Water.
The second it touches New York City's atmosphere, it has become poison.
It has become timefall. I get it, but you definitely don't want that. I mean, think about all the metal and garbage and shit that water had to touch before it dripped in your face. Okay?
Look, at least some of that moisture that formed that storm system probably came from the East River. So you are not already batting 0.
How many cups of coffee have any of you had to like just questionably look at after you're standing under a scaffolding and you get a drip on the lid and you're like, well,
blow it off.
Did it go
off and it melt?
Did it go inside? I'm not sure if it went inside or not. Well, here we go. Bottoms up. Let's go. This is how X-Men stories are created. Let's keep it rolling. All right, that's gonna do it for emails this week. Thanks everybody for sending them in. No corrections this week. Batting 1,000 here. I want to mention again before we start the music. This wonderful tracksuit, if you're watching the video version, I think will be available in the store, if not already. And I think coming up in the near future here, maybe next week, we will have 20% off stuff in the store. And also, if you didn't catch the other premium sale from this year, their second one is coming up soon. So keep an eye out for that as we move through November. I also want to mention Extra Life one more time. If you want to donate, you can go to tinyurl.com. I believe that is right. /DBEL 2020 to go donate for Extra Life. You can watch the archives. You can catch some more coming up this weekend with myself and Jeff Baclar. We're going to figure out how to do this. Pinball streaming.
I'm excited.
Might have some more streamers going on. You can also join the team and stream yourself if you'd like to. Thanks again to everybody who's done it already and donated. Thank you very much. A lot of really generous donations in this hell of a year. And that is going to bring me up to starting the music. Here we go. There we go.
Okay.
Oh, folks, I'm ready for this week. Put this one behind me. Thank you very much, Alex Navarro. Thank you very much, Abby Russell.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeff Baclar.
Of course, thank you.
If it's your birthday out there, happy birthday. Good time to get one in, I think. This is a good time to squeeze a birthday in. Get your birthday going. If you're out there on the internet, I don't know what to tell you there.
Nope, leave. Get out now.
I'm so sick of
Bad
it.
time.
I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of people sharing rotten stuff, wrong things on the internet, trying to make the world a worse place.
They made the internet too easy.
They made it too easy. Stay sane, everybody out there. Thank you again for donating, being very generous, and being very generous with your time. That's going to do it for this week. Catch us next week. Tune in tomorrow for more from the Giant Bomb crew, and next week for more from the Giant Beastcast. Thanks, everybody.
Happy space.